Day 1. All 8 teams will play on the first day of the playoffs. All matches will be played in a best-of-3 format. Day 2. The lower bracket matches will be played in a best-of-3 format. The winner bracket finals will be played in best-of-5 format. Loser going into the lower bracket finals the next day. Best-of-3 format. The winner bracket finals will be played in best-of-5 format. Loser going into the lower bracket.
Of depth that we did mention about, like Group D is definitely well stacked up, but Group C as well, we're seeing pretty much a great balance and when it comes to how all these teams actually play their games as well. Like some of them will opt to actually go for that sort of a team fighting and objective sort of gameplay. Well, we did see some of them Malaysians actually favoring that sort of split push, and of course now we're gonna get ourselves that first game of the day. And
you want to support your favorite team, make sure in chat alone you're already hashtagging them, you're already showing your love and support. Make sure, because they're going to need it if, you know, they should drop a couple of games. They need that extra support. But coming into this, right, look at the prize pool. This is what they're going to be looking to play for. The winner gets 80,000 USD, and everyone wants a chunk of that pie.
And we're looking at the biggest prize pool that we ever had for Mobile Legends Bang Bang. Will not walk home empty-handed, but of course, they are here. They're looking for the top prize. $80,000, of course, is a huge chunk of money. Well, I'm not too sure how much you could actually purchase with that sort of money, but of course, if you work so hard for it, it's definitely going to be pretty much rewarding, and you can walk away and say, "Hey, I'm a world champion of Mobile Legends.
I'm a world champion. You want check out my $80,000 worth of diamonds account? Like, is that too far? Is that too far to go for diamonds at that point? Like, you're set for life.
Oh,
for
yes,
that M1 account.
I'm pretty sure that you don't really need too much of that, unless you know, like every new release is just buy. Now, we're seeing Sunsport.
Are the ones dictating where to fight and who to kill. And like this, oh, Evil X even surviving with a slither of health. That is a Numinum Blast counter go, and this is too deep coming in for Rumis Schools. The two heroes will...
It's just threatening, but of course, they're going to kill the ground.
That is the first push coming in from Rumis Schools, ladies and gentlemen, and basic attack, basic attack, basic attack.
Comes in, he wants that revenge, follow as well with the chance, gonna jump right in, gets the stun onto Scott, long will flicker away, Breezy gets ambushed and gets taken down by Vin, and this is what you want to see from Axis East for the recovery, Color with the minute blast, but cancels by Scott, he hooks him away, and then will give Ranger the killing spree, pacing now. Evo's going on top of Jenna, but there is Breezy in the back line. The front line is actually split for Team Ghost, and this is perfect for Team Axis. They want to collect back in. The Omen, the Channeling Omen is there, but Breezy for the damage was not enough. And now, the Guardian's Barrier will find the goal.
Looking hard, he's chucking them out, but he disrespects Conan. Conan gets the initial trade back, but again, a rock in a hard place. Skylar, his avatar, comes right in. They pick up an easy kill. Killing spree coming in for that carry. They're going to be knocking onto...
But a little bit of defense from getting up back. What a nice block in there. But of course, there's Esmeralda. Molly Storm was going to connect. Damage from Gimme may not be enough. As the Sams goes down, however. But the Hylos as well. Breezy now...
Here we go, that is a chunk of damage coming in from the side of Team Guzu.
My goodness, the Wild Judge!
The Wild Judge is too real.
Luminum Blast is going to be cast, it's going to hit onto two. There's going to be the shutdown finally. They jump onto Conan this time. Can they kill the Taps? Yes, they can.
They have to protect this door area, and the fantasy does come on. Ice Cola once again goes pathway and rejuvenate. Does keep the Pops still alive, but now Burmese go. Time for the re-engage. Now Kid jumps right in, and maybe a big call out does not get the divine judgment off, so Team Gosu still survive on this, but basically this call out, the last insanity is an insane move from Team Gosu, but not in a good way, and General also call out as well. A007.
From the dash just over the wall, but the rest of the team is not going to let him go without a fight. Lawson taking so much damage, but it ain't going to be enough.
Conan is running for his life, is trying to escape. Only one tick of health left, and he does walk it out alive, but not so fortunate for the Gushin as Axis Esports tries to close things up. And now I'm feeling really pumped up after, of course, having that sort of recap. And yesterday we saw Burmese Goals secured the first ever perfect finisher in the group stages.
They go with 6 points, 0 losses. They won all their matches 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, locking themselves in a very comfortable spot in the upper brackets of playoffs here. The question is, can Sunspark or even Torak make up and maybe even go even with them in their scores in Group C?
I feel like this group here will be a lot more challenging in that sort of sense. Of course, with due respect to other teams coming from Group B as well. But when we're looking at some of all these names, which are pretty familiar to some of the rest of the world, Sunspark here definitely has something that they want to pull up in terms of the meta. Well, yesterday, Boomist Goals definitely used that jaw hit into effect. I'm looking at Sunspark here. Perhaps they will bring something really different to the table. Back in the days, of course, from certain regions, they've always brought out really great pocket picks, even like supports coming to the table, where we hardly see from some of all these Southeast Asian teams in this recent patch. So who knows? There might just be something up their sleeves.
Yeah, that's true. And while these players are actually getting ready back here, I'm excited to see what they're preparing for. I've been hearing a lot of chitter-chatter, seeing what they're willing to try to actually go for in terms of what they want to do in terms of strategy, but we're just going to have to wait and see before we really answer that question. But I'm hoping, because it's my personal favorite, sticking to the meta is the way to go.
That's right, sticking to the meta is definitely something that's safe, but of course we're still having a little bit of that sort of stuff to show you guys, and here are your top 5 of the day 2. Oh, but now the Divine Judgment connects on the Conan. Goes for the Aura. Doesn't connect. Can't do anything. Revival and keeps him a bit. Eventually gets thrown down. Here comes the Gunstone. Mister there will get taken down from the count as well. Burmese goes. They're keeping us out. But Ice is overextending. But no! Here comes Kinsey.
Once he gets it, penalty zone already used on the North. Oh, big catch here! Great time is breaking into penalty zone. This is huge. They try to turn this around, but they don't.
That's all for now. Here comes Dive. Maybe he's just gonna play a little bit sneaker to revitalize in there. Where's the glory stopping? Here it is. He wanted to set things up here. They baited them. Candy comeback just got baited. KK01. The flicker inject the fools one. Here's another. Now, Nana, you're gonna be a donkey. And I don't know what you're gonna be running here. Sorry, a raccoon in this regard.
Eli towards the rest of the team, but we will find a Q first. Glorious path with a bit too late, but Polo will go for the engage. He sounds the Warhorn. Evo's going on top of Jenna, but there is Breezy in the back line. The front line is actually split for Team Ghost, and this is perfect for Team Axis. They want to collect back in. The Omen, the Shining Omen is there for Breezy for the damage. Was not enough. And now, the Guardian's Barrier will find the core. Evil X will make sure Team...
And here we go. That is a charm of damage coming in from the side of Team Guzu.
My goodness, the Wild Judge!
The Wild Judge is too real.
Luminum Blast is gonna be cast, gonna hit on the two. There's gonna be the shutdown finally. And they jump onto Conan this time. Can they kill the Dabs? Yes, they can. But look at the base! It's the mash!
Turbo Mashup!
And with that, that's your top 5. I mean, that was just a completely solid line of play, and I'm excited to see some of these teams actually make their own top 5 coming in today.
Well, what was your favorite moment of yesterday?
I mean, obviously, it's got to be with CC as well as the Team Gosu as well. I mean, that series alone was just so hectic. It could have gone any way, but, you know, Team Gosu still managed to get on top. Unfortunately, both of those teams have been knocked out.
This is the nature of competition, and even in Group A, we saw EVOS Esports Singapore being the top dog of MYSG. They were the first one to falter as well. And of course, there's only going to be 2 of these teams that will make it out of Group C. So tomorrow is going to be the same thing for the side of Group D as well. But now, locking our eyes in towards this matchup here, let's talk a little bit about Todak, because we've already mentioned about Sunspark for a little bit. And for Todak, we've seen them play pretty much well in the meta as well.
Yes.
But there are times that they are not really on that peak form when they try something brand new. So do you think that they will be ready? Because all these teams were given enough time after all the MPLs concluded.
Well, personally, I feel like when you're coming into something like M1, you have to have some form of preparation here, especially with the other teams. But more importantly, you need to play something on an international level. You need to start scrimming. And that preparation is so important. And I think with a lot of teams, you can clearly see certain teams not being as prepared as others, and it shows in the group stages alone. You gotta, again, natural selection, weed out the weak as much as you can. We only want the best here at M1, and I think that's why this group stage is so important for a lot of these teams, because not only is it the training ground to kind of tell you, hey, are we worth it to actually go into the playoffs, or is what we thought how the game should be played for so long actually wrong?
That's right, and there's so many of all these teams here just trying to prove themselves, and now it's time for Todak as well as Sunspark to head into battle here to see who will come up on top. And with the very first band here heading over to the side of Sunspark, what will they possibly go for? Of course, we got the most band heroes, which is Xborg as well as Kufra here. So do you expect the same thing to be offered between both of these teams?
Honestly, I think Grok 100% pick ban so far. Not too big of a surprise. Same as Xborg. The question is whether they kind of want to let Xborg go. Most teams say no. Grok, most of the time, they kind of want to leave it up to pick it for themselves. Ooh, Harith coming in. Very early ban coming in from Sunspark.
I'm still liking the Harith ban here. There are times that even Harith was left out in the open. It might not be picked by some of these teams, so it really depends on what they really want to focus on at this point. Now, so that usually would go for either a Grok pick, so I don't think that they'll be axing that one out, but Fuza Ken here is opting to also lock it in if it's ever being left out. So Todak just taking their sweet time here as we see, of course, the lineup for Todak will consist of X-Ray, Moon, Iwan, Chiku, as well as Nenas.
Yep, and Kufra, again, he just hasn't been able to really touch the battlefield too often. A lot of teams opt to not deal with him at all. So obviously, I do think it's pretty smart. A lot of teams who did have been able to touch Kufra basically have just destroyed games.
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, I would definitely say that Tyrant's Rage into walls is definitely one huge element that you don't really want to deal with, especially when you are fighting in choke points in the jungle. Now, we're also seeing a lot of all these players from the MPL always utilizing that Kufra into great effect. Same goes to Esmeralda, though she has been hit by a couple of all these nerfs, but it doesn't seem like it's stopping all these top teams from picking her at all.
I mean, even though she is S-class, the teams who have decided to ban her, or even had the opportunity to pick her, only have a 50% win rate so far. So really, it technically is just a roll of the dice based on the group stages alone from day one, data compiled from day 1 and day 2. I'm not so sure whether it's as good of a pick as we all mentioned, especially at such high level play, because a lot of teams are just like, you know what? How about no? How about we don't? How about we just play around it? How about we lock in something like a Kaja of some sort, just to make sure you don't get to play the game?
I feel like her position right now is similar to what Kimi is, because Kimi has received a couple of nerfs as well, and she wasn't really getting all too much of that attention. Even sometimes that pick is being left out in the open. Just such as right now, we're seeing a Chao ban coming in from the side of Todak here, which is pretty interesting, which means that they're going to open up another strong pick for the side of Todak. Now, Fuza can really get a pick a poison here.
I really think this is so smart, because if you ban out Cho, that kind of limits the pool. Kaja is open. Kaja is open. X-Borg is open. Rock is open. Oh, look at that death stare. Look at that. He knows. He knows the camera's on him, baby.
Oh, he's not really going to stop until you budge. So cameraman's probably a little bit shaken there with that sort of reaction. Now, that's going to be the X-Borg being picked up. And I'm liking the fact that these boys here are already starting off the day with some great spirit.
Yeah. I would like to see Todak actually pick up the Gra Kaja here. But then again, high loss is on the table as well, so it's like, pick your poison.
I would like to have a high loss on the team in that sort of sense. So Todak's reading my mind as well. Well, these players definitely know that getting these sort of picks is definitely really safe for the first phase of the game.
Agreed.
But this means that SS, they now have the option to get that Kaya, and they won't let it slide away.
Yeah, Kaja is going to be hovered over as of right now, but what are they going to pair it with is the bigger question. They could pick their mage up here and then kind of hold off on the tanks, but, you know, carry a great counter pick to actually deal with the Grok. Overall, I think this is pretty solid, a pretty solid pick. The question is, do they want to actually go for it? Because then, second ban phase, they're going to be losing out on the mages. So again, it's one of those choices like, do I pick it, do I not pick it, or have I revealed too much information for Todak?
I would say that they definitely haven't revealed all too much. This is pretty much standard for South Sudan, but from the side of Sunspark, they also have the option of picking the Lolita as well as the Kaja, and instead they're going in for that Lunox as well as the carry pickoff. So, which means that Toda, after this phase, they just have to remove one of this and may be able to also get one for themselves. So, who knows with this sort of Chang'e pick? I think that what they should do, Todak should possibly pick up maybe, well, something a little bit more offensive to defend it, or even steal that Lolita away. But then again, they've already got so many great frontliners, they need a heavy hitter.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we see Sunspark, they have all their heavy hitters already, and I think for Todak, they might have a slight advantage here. However, the one thing that they have to worry about is actually dealing with the Baxia. Now, they can ban out Lolita, very clear counter pick. Ooh, they want to get rid of the Kaja instead, so they're willing to give up the Lolita as well as the Baxia. I was expecting them to ban one or the other and let them actually have the Kaja, because in most situations, she needs to kind of like play towards the side flanks to catch somebody off or make a big play, which is easy to deal with if you have Purify.
Now, of course, it really depends if they would actually prefer having that Purify, of course. Now, for Todak's side, they could definitely try to negate them from actually securing better picks, but they're going in with this Leomort pick. So, what do you feel about Leomort? Because we don't see it all too often, but it's definitely something that's pretty reliable heading into the
Your
late game.
team
I
is
think
picking.
what they needed was a way to kind of like deal with the X-Spark. I think Leonore is a pretty smart way to deal with him. Though, yes, his early game not as great as the X-Spark for sure, but as he scales, he's just going to get better and better and better. You last Insanity, I'm basically just going to kill you the moment I pop my Phantom Steed. So, to me, it makes a lot of sense. They're finishing out the composition with the Granger. I like it. Overall, this is really, really good. Like, Granger so far, 73% win rate. It just feels right.
Yes, and 73% win rate is definitely that sort of a percentage that's off the charts if you really want to consider in all these competitive play. And now that Todak's having that sort of take up there, it might just have some slight edge over that carry, especially in the mid game as well as the early game, where they could definitely deal a chunk of damage. But it really depends on how some of these teams rotate to actually reap rewards out of the jungle or even secure things like the turtle as well. Now, in terms of team fighting, which team do you prefer?
Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Before I even answer that, I want to thank Alayla Lele from Reddit itself for actually providing a lot of these stats for us here at the Caster's Table. Really great work. She compiled it, he or she compiled it over the past 2 days, and it's just a comprehensive list. So thank you to the Redditor who actually put it back up. Definitely helps us at the Caster Table. To answer your question here, I personally think it's kind of 50-50 because it's based on 2 conditions for Sunspark and 1 condition for Todak. I think Todak has a very linear line of gameplay. Siege, if you fight, we can kind of, re-engage into the fight. They're not looking to force anything out unless it's a catch. And in most cases, we've seen the Hylos not really being able to, it's not a Kaja. It can't just hey, you are going to die. It doesn't get to pick and choose. Kaja, on the other hand, needs to land on some big hitting targets. Lock down the Leomord, maybe. That's 1 point of contention on the top side of the map. They could look for the Chang'e for sure. I don't think she's going to be in range to get Granger, but I think Chang'e is something that they need to be very, very aware of because her range is just so long. She walks up. If she gets chunked out by the Meteor Shower, it's not going to be a good time for them. So I think Sunspark, they kind of have to look for many different angles to deal with Todak right now. And again, whoever gets that early mid-game lead is going to have net themselves 2, maybe even 3 turrets.
Yeah, perhaps so. And I'm really looking at how Sunspark could approach this is to bully off that Leomord in the early game. Now, speaking of that, we're heading in towards our very first game of Day 3, Sunspark versus Todak here. And of course, Sunspark on the blue side versus Todak on the red. Now, we've already talked about a lot of all these picks. Now, let's get towards that Lunox pick because from what I remembered, we're seeing a lot of great work from all these players that picked up the Lunox. But wow, what do we have in the side of the river here is Ninas, Chiku already soaking a little bit more damage coming from Felicia as well as the JP, but they are not letting them getting anywhere close to proxy in the way.
This is such a bad trade because overall, Chiku, he got chunked out really hard, forcing out the Rejuvenate from Ninas to kind of keep him at a healthy amount. They're going to get the cooldowns. They're going to get the cooldown, which of course is always great, but again, if you want to go for something aggressive, you need your mid lane, and Todak, they understand, yeah, we've got a strong early game, let's use our mid rotation to kind of steal away your buffs.
Yeah, I could see great aggressive plays coming from Todak, and Flicker has been taken off the side of Felicia, and immediately look at how efficient they just went in for the raids, and Todak now will be able to secure that river crab. While on the top side, they're about to do the same coming from Sunsparks of the Philippines.
Yeah, I personally think that they should contest topside for sure, but again, I think they want to focus all their energy towards the bottom side. Oh no, Leomord's in trouble here. X-Ray instantly goes down. He disrespects trying to use the momentum to try and gain some sort of advantage. He gets punished instead. Rezio gets a good chunk of the power of nature here. Guardian's Barrier is popped, but let's look at that replay one more time, because as we can see here, he definitely disrespected, walks up too far, and then he already had at least half of that gauge, passive gauge from X-Ray. The moment the true damage starts kicking in, he was basically goner.
Yeah, and look at how much damage that they just put out in that split second of time with Kill VJ, as well as the Renzio going in, and here comes E1 flickering after the fight, but it will be Renzio going for the chase, and Fuzaken will seal the deal, and that's 2-0 for the side of Sunspark.
Yep, and Todak giving another kill over JP, taking quite a bit of damage, but at least he's able to pull backwards. Wait, hold on! He takes a full hit of Rondo, that last touch! The crit was able to pick him off.
Oh my, and they did not expect that sort of damage output coming from Chiku all too early of the game. Now Lolita, of course, a little bit way too late. Mahmoud's going to receive a little bit of that tickle as E1 has arrived to the scene. and E1 is just, of course, not trying to overextend. Well, Rafflesia, once again, right under the tower. What can Rafflesia do to keep himself safe?
Oh, hold up. Look at the rotations. Look at the rotations because Sunspark wants to collapse onto mid lane. Do they notice? Todak don't know. Rafflesia goes down, but Chiku might be in trouble here. He has to pull back as the rest of the team pulls it. Glorious Path is already not down, but Fukusen isn't going to let them escape. Hurricane Dance right on top of them. Nunas is in trouble. He has no support from the team, but Todak, they're willing to sacrifice 2 members and hopefully get Turtle off of this. They are rushing it down with the Meteor Shower to net themselves some gold after that heavy loss in the bot lane.
What a beautiful Hurricane Dance right from the corners of the tower, and they did not see this one coming. Like Nanas, he's already all taken off a back seat, and Nanas could only run the opposite direction, and that was definitely a great flank coming in from the side of Sunspark. Well, Todak managed to secure that turtle over the top side, and now things are looking pretty good for the side of Sunsparks here with about 1k of a go lead.
Yeah, and it was a great job by Fukusen because he managed to get, cut them off. Ooh, good play. JP is in trouble. He's in so one little more damage. Oh, wow. Judge comes through, clips JP. JP is not having a good time, but Sunspark, remember, they're still ahead in gold. They're still in it to win it.
Wow, they're hammering each other on all so early in the morning. And now, looking at it, it's less than 4 minutes of the game, and we're already getting 7 kills in total, while Fuziken's just trying to secure this. Well, I'll just take it. He didn't have to secure it.
They were close to securing it, but once you see like the rest of the team of Todak start moving into jungle, you have to really question how many members are committing. Oh, Meteor Shower here. Ooh, takes away the buff. Nobody has Retribution to steal it away.
Wow, I really like how Moon just easily take that one off without even needing to look what's inside the brush, and now X-Ray's in trouble. He's going to be flanked by all 3 members again, but here comes Fuziken, pinned by the corner of the wall, but X-Ray's going to be pretty well alive.
Great Purify here. They're going to dive the mid lane here as the rest of the team starts pulling through. That's Sonata forcing out the flicker from JP. He is not going to go down this time round as the rest of the team pulls back up. They don't have a wave. Rafflesia finishes off that siege turret. The rest of the team of Sunspark is trying to collapse on them. Todak will not get that side flank this time.
I just love how these teams are not even giving each other any rest at all. Every time where they actually get one pick off, the other team will be actually doing some objectives or even trying to crush down some towers. And now that we're seeing that turtle spawning in towards the river here, we're looking at members of Todak trying to secure it, whilst Fuziken's just trying to chase off E1. Well, I'm looking at Todak here, who is hiding behind the shadows here, just waiting for Sunspark to strike.
Yeah, they can't start. They would like to start it. However, Leomord, he still has to clear up that top side, and I think they just want to stall here. They're just kind of, waiting it out, seeing how Sunspark kind of reacts to this, because Leomord will move at any point in time. Bottom lane, Xborg is taking quite a bit of damage. Last Insanity, he pulls it out. Rezio, he's going to be A-okay, but this is not going to be good for the top side as X-Ray is in a lot of trouble. Even with the Phantom Seed, it's just too much true damage coming in from the carry.
So much of that DPS output coming from Rafflesia, and now with Todak here having some easy takedown on that turtle with the help of Moon, of course, on that Meteor Shower. Now Renzo's all alone, Flicker being popped as well, and somehow he still managed to escape, but not for long. Chica's gonna push them all over, and speaking of pushing them off, it's gonna be Fuziken securing that kill, and now E1's running for his life, and with that, Sunspark comes out with a total of 7 kills for now.
Such a good play coming in from Fuziken here. He uses the 1,000-pounder, gets right in the middle. Let's look at the replay here as Rezio, he goes down, but look at that rejuvenation. It pops down and Fuziken is just like, no, I am not letting you abuse that. I'm gonna push you out of the zone.
That was so beautiful. I can't really explain how they actually reacted so quickly, but look at how Todak is still pretty much equivalent in terms of gold. It's only 400 that sets them apart, and there's already Athena Shields as well as Axe for both the Export as well as Lolita. On the other side, of course, there's the Endless Battle as well for the Granger, which I'm looking at the Granger now with that 3 kills, the only member that's really ramping up from the side of Todak.
Yeah, but so far the gold is even. Like, both sides are, they're being very efficient with their moves. They're trading pretty evenly. Even though Sunspark does have a 3-kill lead, it doesn't mean that Todak hasn't been making moves across the map. The turtles that have added up, they have accumulated.
Wow.
Oh no, he's going to be locked in here. Fuziken waiting the full duration. He's not getting out. The Numenon Blast does come down. They get the first kill onto the Hylos, but the rest of the team is pulled out. Revelation, he blocks out the entire Meteor Shower, protecting his team. They're going to be locking E1 down. He flickers right on out of there. He doesn't want to get back in there. Fuziken is in a little bit of trouble. Takes a little bit of damage from the Crescendo, but it's not going to be enough.
I'm loving how Fuziken is setting the tempo for every single matchup.
E1!
Oh, he goes down for the mega kill, and he will fall into the hands of Kill right here. Kill VJ 404. That's no error, by the way, as we see this turtle definitely going to be snatched here by Sunspark.
Yeah, great play coming in from Sunspark, but E1, what you doing there, buddy? Like, you're already low. You gotta respect not Revelation, but you gotta respect KLVJ, because he is just absolutely killing it, and he is one of the leading mages on their side. So he's got a lot of gold on him. He needs to get that Athena Shield sooner rather than later.
Well, now, speaking of Athena Shield, of course, some of these members already have it, but look at Ninas here. They're getting clipped off once again as Fuziken hits him on the wall with a Hurricane Dance. He was coming into the rescue as well, but look at the rest of the members of Todak. They're marching right into the jungle, and Ninas, the first one to fall alongside with the Granger as well. 2 down from the Malaysian side as we see KLVJ chasing over an X-Ray, and they will not let this one slide. JP goes in for the triple kill, and he's hunting for more. Can he go in for a Maniac? Of course, it's a little bit way too late to secure that, but Sunsparks now getting a huge lead after the team fight.
Yeah, let's look at the replay one more time, because as you can see, Moon was trying to get some damage and actually eliminate Rezio here in the back line, and a lot of that damage was wasted. For some reason, he took so little damage. He was able to kind of kite it out just enough to mitigate the amount from that Meteor Shower, which is really, really impressive.
Well, I gotta say, we're starting off the day here with a huge triple kill on JP. Well, make no mistakes at all. We're seeing Sunspark here, of course, one of the hot favorites from the Philippines, and now here setting one up against X-Ray all by himself as well. Phantom Seed has already been called, but there's no use calling out Barbell when you have 3 men flanking from the back. And what I love about Sunsparks is they are so efficient on those turret dive.
Yeah, they really, really are. They hold their abilities until they absolutely have to, and I think that was kind of on X-Ray for turning back into the fight when he could have run the opposite direction, but I think he knew he just had to buy a lot of time.
Yep, and definitely bought just enough time for themselves. And getting in us here, they're going to go in for the catch, and the Panda will be taken down.
Finally, Fuziken actually goes down, and Lord is going to be potentially in the hands of Todak. They might need to take the 50-50, and it looks pretty good because 2 members from the side of Sunspark is down. It's a 3v5.
Well, speaking of this TV5 here, that's going to be a huge wall charge over onto Kill VJ, but he's going to go right in towards the Order of Brilliance, flicker over the wall, and Rezio with the last insanity right in between the Vilma Voss as well. Oh my goodness, they're turning it around, and Refusio will be the next one to drop, and now that Chang is going to go on the killing spree, and Kill VJ's got to bow out on this one, and Todak now has absolute control on the Lord.
I mean, how is Kill still alive after everything that just happened? I mean, Todak, they should be able to secure this, but looking at this replay, like, E1 was right on top of him. Kill, at the very last second, was able to get that Harmony as well as the Brilliance, and he manages to survive, flickering over the wall when everything was looking so bleak. The Numenon Blast was a great effort, but again, look at that rejuvenation, perfectly put on top of the rest of the team members. He just Hylos just powers through all that damage.
Yeah, and I really got to give credit to all these members of Todak because their position was so magnificent. All the frontliners were doing their duty, and none of these members of Sunsparks have managed to reach the back line in that sort of sense as they were pushed back into the jungle. And, well, for QVJ, he seems like he's pretty much untouchable for the time being.
Pretty much, and I think they need a little bit more time to kind of scale. Golden Staff already being purchased by JP. They kind of need to contest Lord at this point in time. I mean, Todak just won a really good fight, but a lot of their members are getting chunked out and are recalling as well. Ninas.
Wow, of course, for Ninas, he's definitely gonna be getting himself ready to get himself in towards the Lord Pit, which right now the Hylos is marching right into it. But look at Renzo here. He's already got that immortality. Same goes to Fuzakin, so they could dive in whenever they are ready. So Sunsparks here, they are calling the shots. They're trying to bait them with this Lord call, but the members of Todak, they're reacting and responding with a little bit split by themselves. Look at the bot lane.
Yep, and Rezio, he doesn't have his full armor yet. This allows X-Ray to actually get some damage onto that turret. He might be, he shouldn't be able to take this. And yes, he pulls back away. Todak played that really, really well, using E1 as the living ward, getting the information and playing around it.
Now, E1, of course, being the frontliner, like you said, and he's just going to buy enough time. And I just love how Todak just negate that pressure by just splitting up on towards two of these lanes. And, of course, Meteor Child being utilized here will just be shredding some a little bit of the help coming from Fuzaken. But both sides, they really know that if they were to commit, they want it to become a full swing of a win for either side.
Exactly, and I think Todak, they just have to keep playing this game. They just have to keep sitting out. Rezio getting chunked out. He doesn't get the last insanity, but the Firaga armor breaks. Chico is like, nah, don't want to push any further. Don't want to force anything out just yet. We're waiting for Sunspark to make a mistake. And Todak is waiting with a shiv in hand, waiting for the killing blow. They get the initial kill. They punished him. Rezio is going to be going down. Immortality is popped, but he flickers on out of there. He survives.
How on earth did he survive that? He flickers off in time as well, and he was just by the edge. It almost clipped him, but Todak, they were doubling down on the bottom side. They still get the tower instead.
Yeah, I mean, Todak is playing this macroly so well. Sunspark is in a position where they can't force anything unless they have position, and Todak, they understand that. They see as long as Fuzaken doesn't get a good Hurricane dance and Rezio is chunked out, they can play the map, and they're doing a really good job at playing the map.
I certainly must say that they are so great in that macro play, and I can't help but to agree with every word you say. Now, Fuzaken already at the forefront, trying to deal with E1, but you know, tanks versus tank, not really the ideal situation. Felicia also waiting on the back as well. Lolita could possibly channel a great Divinon Blast if Todak ever comes right in towards the lower pit once again. Now, look at JP though.
I mean, JP is going to get chunked out, but I think E1 should be okay here. I don't think JP is, absolutely unstoppable just yet. Chang'e is right behind her, so they don't have to worry. But, on the bottom side of the map, they're, trying to make sure they keep control over the waves. And as long as Todak keep playing this rotational game, I think they might be able to get out of this. Nanas takes a little bit of damage, but he's not the priority target.
Yeah, and speaking of which, you can see gold has already been evened up by the side of Todak. And there was not really that sort of a gap in between other than the mid-game itself. Now, look at Chiku as well as these members of Todak. They are on the back front. And Fuzaken trying to run for his life. Renzo going for the last inside of the pops the L right in front of the members of Todak. And once again, they're getting caught out. And Xbox will be the first one to fall. X-Ray gone the hunt. That's going to nail them to the wall. And JP gets himself safe. But E1's trying to hold them all the back. And now it's time for the Lord. And Chico's already taking it down.
Yeah, they called them off. Todak is just like, retreat, boys. We don't need to keep on going forward. Let's look at that replay one more time. And honestly, I have to commend Fuzaken there. That was almost an insanely good play if he was able to get that Hurricane that's just a little bit earlier, but they just did not let him. The Purifies were there and they were ready, and this is when the mistake happens because Sunspark is fighting in the playground, in the battlefield of Todak, where they are stuck in one line. The moment they are in one line, not a lot of broad corners to kind of dodge away from the ultimate from Moon. They are just in a straight firing line.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing that they really got to watch out for, and none of these members from the side of Sunsparks have been able to reach anywhere close to Moon either, so fighting inside the jungle, definitely not the ideal situation for Sunsparks, but look at them go. They're going to go in for another catch, and they might just be able to get that kill over on the Nunes, but here comes X-Ray though. X-Ray as well, being chunked down low.
Oh my God.
No! Oh, there comes the blast, and double kill headed towards the side of JP as well, and SSAs, that's enough for a day as they have to stop the Lord from marching towards the bottom side, which means Toda is trying to clear up mid lane and open things up by taking out the tower, but there's not enough time for them to even get anywhere close.
Felicia single-handedly won Sunspark that fight and netted them, stopped that Lord push, all because he put up his shield at the right time. That Guardian's Bulwark just so good, blocks the entire crescendo, blocks the entire meteor shower, no damage from the backline. He just took it like a champ.
Oh, yes indeed. And look at Toda here, of course. Now they're having that goal swinging in their favor, of course. By this moment here, 70 minutes of play, they should be able to complete those are the items. And look at X-Ray. He's really not that sort of a player that's all about that KDA. Although he's 0-5, he's still having quite a little bit of that impact where he's in charge of pulling members of Sunsparks all across, just distracting them, trying to bait and switch, trying to secure all that sort of macro play that they've been pulling off for the entirety of this matchup.
Oh, Rezio's in trouble. Last Insanity over the wall, trying to hop on over into safety, but he might be in trouble because Chiku is not going to let him get away. The crescendo comes through, but Rezio's one hit away. The immortality is popped. Glorious Pathway is put down. They might need to use the rejuvenation. E1 is taking a lot of damage, but again, rejuvenation is put already down, but Fuzukane is not going to let them play the game. Flicker coming in from E1, well played, but he still goes down. The passive from Carry takes him at the very end. Ooh, golden staff, beautiful item.
Look at how chaotic that sort of team fight was, and it's only one casualty. And they are playing with such clinical finishes that they are not trying to make any sort of mistakes at all. But E1, of course, was soaking most of that chunk of damage, and we all know E1 as one of the best tanks hailing from Malaysia. And now he's already 0-3-5, but every single time he goes in, he wants to make sure that he gets one sort of takedown. But now we're seeing Sunsparks here trying to open up the mid lane, and Lurfisa at the front line defense. There's still that immortality, so there's no reason for Todak to actually expend their utilities on that Lolita.
Exactly, and I think this is already just a great matchup. I think Sunspark honestly should have been the favorites coming in, especially against Todak here, because again, we haven't seen Todak go out of their, their comfort zone into the international scene, and I think they're doing a great job against Sunspark, who honestly have been playing a really tough game and a really tough composition that requires a lot of mechanical skills. So a lot of commendation going over to Sunspark, especially Fuzukane. It's really dependent on their tanks right now. Like, Sunspark is solely dependent on their tanks to set up the fight.
And not only the tanks, the carries have to do their duty. Well, of course, speaking of carry, we're seeing JP here with 7 kills already, and for Kill, he's been performing since the start of the game. So these are the two guys they really have to catch out.
Yeah, that is so true. Oh, that's now actually being popped too. Oh, they get the catch! Immortality being popped on Fuzukane. He can use the 1000-pounder. He's gonna be safe, but they finally break that immortality. They have to wait for their cooldowns, hold their ground, clear the waves, and maybe look for a fight. But again, Sunspark, they know, they're like, all right, let's pull back a little bit, take our time with this. They don't have our ultimates. Maybe we can set up a fight. Revelation in trouble. Rezio already with a flame strike. He's already popped up to get some momentum to move backwards. Chico is taking quite a bit of damage, but they're not going to push through. Meteor Shower using to clear the waves. Kale taking a little bit of damage, but it's not going to be enough. Numenon Blast. Is he going to flicker? Yes, he does. He gets the catch onto the initial target. Hylos is going to go down. Rejuvenate is already there. The Guardian's Bulwark has been popped up, but it's not going to be enough.
Well, definitely not going to be having all too much of a business here from Todak, as they've already lost out Dinas. And now Sunsparks calling out the Lord, and this is going to be the second Lord of the game. And can there be any reaction at all from Todak? They're opting for a split push. They're marching down to the top side as well as the mid lane, and they say, you can have the Lord all you want, but I'm going to take down your base. But the side of Sunsparks here, they got to either recall or find a way to fight back. Todak now did not have enough time to get anywhere close to that tower. Renzo, though, getting a little damage, being chunked out, and that will be the Akai taking off the Granger, and now losing Chiku is definitely a big blow to Todak.
Yeah, I think dying now might have been a big mistake here, because now Chiku, one of the core members, has a 40-second plus death timer, and Lord, by the time he comes back to life, Lord is already knocking on that inhibitor.
Look at the graph. What does it tell you? The members of Sunsparks are turning things around by breaking the silence, taking down Lord, taking down one member off the side of Toda. With that sort of pick-off here, they managed to set things up so perfectly. Phantom Steed has already been called out, but to no sort of opportunities for him to even react. Now, Prolific Roll on the hands of Chiku, definitely giving a little bit more burstiness, hitting in towards the hands of the Granger, but to the side of Sunspark. They're waiting for a mistake. They're waiting for a Lord to come right in. Fuzaken going in, pinning down 2 members of the wall. And that Hurricane Dash was so pivotal. The blast is stack upon it as well. Double kill for JP as they manage to crash right in. Now they're looking to secure game 1 in the hands of the Philippines. And Sunspark here are doing what they please. And they are going in for this finishing blow. And now Toda is on the back foot. And Sunspark takes game 1.
Oh my goodness, Fuzaken is actually insane. He is actually ridiculous. That was so nasty. Goes right in the middle, gets the Petrify off, and immediately pulls them in with the ultimate. Oh my goodness, well played Sunspark here. Todak, they've got to hold their ground. This might be, a little bit of a sad defeat in their eyes, but this is a best of 3. We might see it happen. They might try and turn this around, but Sunspark looking so good, playing a composition that requires so much positioning, so many conditions need to be met, but their tanks are absolutely ridiculous.
And they met every single expectation, and by far, that was one of the best archives I've ever seen so far in the M1 World Championship. Let's have a look in towards the post stats as we see, of course, Fuzaken getting some high KDAs, but the All-Stars here kill VJ with a total of 5 kills, 11 assists, and the highest damage has been dealt by JP with 39% being chunked out to the entirety, and it's so hard to even take down members of Todak. You see how tanky they were. And yet again, then as well as X-Ray, they were rendered ineffective, and we were seeing Chico as well as Moon. They were struggling. Moon, although he was not taken down a single time at all, there was nothing much that you can do when there's no more frontliners fielding on towards that battle foul. And now let's have a look into these early phase of the game where I saw a great dive coming from the side of Sunsparks.
Yeah, and especially in the early stages of the game, like JP was getting punished a lot of the time. A lot of the members were focusing the mid lane when they rotated, but not here. They were going in for Turtle, and that was the main objective. Like JP took quite a brunt of damage. He ended like the early game at 0-2, like 1-2 and 1 if I was correct. And he really took a beating here. And Todak, they just kept trying to punish him, but eventually they adapted really quick. They switched him over with Rezio. Rezio held his ground for the long period of time, and then he got a lot of support in the top side, allowing him to kind of catch up into the game. And the moment he got his 3rd item, he was ready to pop off.
Oh yes, and he popped off so hard, and there were so many of all these sort of opportunities that he took without even thinking twice, and they managed to actually secure that sort of lead. Now, look at the side of Sunspark here. Look at how many times they actually dove over that Leomord, and this is that sort of win condition that we also mentioned way early on. You gotta stop the Leomord before he becomes that late game monster, and this is where things start to actually turn for the side of Sunspark, so as we see, of course, a full commitment. And this is where Todak, of course, won this sort of team fight by having great positioning from the side of Moon.
Yeah.
And look at Meteor Shower. Almost every single hit has connected, and of course, Ref Felicia will be the next one to fall in this sort of battle between the two.
Exactly, and I think, looking at this game of rock, paper, scissors, like the entire game was dependent on Sunsparks being out of position. Like if Ref Felicia is even a little bit away from the team, it just gives a huge green light for Todak to be like, all right, the shield is out of the way, let's deal as much damage as we can, and maybe by the time that, Ref Felicia tries to disengage the team with the Numenon Blast, it's a little too late. And we can see this time and time again, they caught them out, and then Sunspark is like, all right, we need to fight them on our turn, we need to make sure our formation is correct, and if we get those conditions down, we win fights. And as you can see, that Guardian's Bulwark just blocking everything.
Oh yes, indeed. And not only that, we're also seeing a little bit of that overextension coming from Todak for a couple of times, which resulted into this. They were on lockdown here, and Fuzaken, time and time again, those Hurricane Dance were really the main factor of how the side of Sunsparks managing to actually take a couple of victories, and especially for this. This is that golden moment where the Lord came in time, and both of them are pinned over the wall, and Todak was rendered useless, and there was nothing that they could possibly do to actually defend this. They can't take down the Lord, but there was still all of these members left intact, and that's how they managed to take game 1 off of the side of Todak.
Yeah, and I think Sunspark, they were adapting along with the game, and that really shows that, a championship mentality. I can't believe these guys are only just the first runner-up in their own MPL, because they are playing like absolute beasts here.
I would definitely say that they are on fire, and this is just game 1. We're not even down to game 2 yet, but of course that will happen in a couple more minutes. But let's talk about all this draft, because Todak definitely had a really tanky composition, but what's the problem here? Do they really lack of damage, or it was just down to that sort of execution? Because I saw a lot of all these sort of risky plays, like when Sunsparks attempted for that Lord, they did not challenge the Lord at all. Instead, they went for that split push. They tried to take 2 turrets at one go, and I felt like Sunsparks, of course, having a lot more of that experience to actually deal with that situation, they say, you can try as you will. And the moment that they were done, none of the towers were even touched at all.
Yeah, agreed. I think it really came down to just positioning and knowing, what are your win conditions at that point in time in game, and I think Sunspark did a much better job. And I will correct myself. I was thinking of Onyx PH, who is the first runner-up, and Sunspark's being the champion this time. They definitely deserve it here. Man, my brain somehow switched them over. I don't know why, and I'm going to get some angry DMs later.
Oh, yeah.
But for the most part, I think Sunspark played a good game. They adapted on the spot. The question is, can Todak adapt to this composition now that they're going to be on the blue side?
Now, heading in towards the blue side, we're going to see, of course, Todak getting one favorite pick. But I'm really optimistic about what Sunspark is possibly pulling out with their very first 2 picks here, because early on we see Todak pulling off that trump card, trying to ban off some of the things that they won't pick. And with that, they open up things like the Kaja. And even with the Kaja being opened up, they didn't really need it to pick it. So that's what Sunspark has in that sort of a composition, where they were so confident. They said, okay, we can even play without some of these core meta heroes. And you would say that Kaja is definitely that sort of a strong factor with that Divine Judgment, but they definitely had a better composition working alongside with that Lolita pick. And of course, Carry as well as Lunox in this game 1 was perfect. The way that JP as well as Kiel played that, I would say that there's no better way that they could possibly perform even better than that.
I feel like I don't need to highlight them, only because they're playing so consistent and they're doing such a good job that I don't really need to say too much. It's so dependent on even if you played it absolutely perfectly, they're playing exceptionally well. There's no need to highlight that. It's really based on the tanks being able to perform, to give them the space they need to do their work. They're like, bros, hey man, Revelation, you just need to block that meteor shower and I can go to town.
Oh yeah, they're just waiting for Fuzaken to actually start things off as well.
Please, just give Fuzaken a Kai one more time so I can fail November.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. I won't judge your sort of kinks, but then again,
I like good plays a little too much. But yeah, coming into game 2, I think the big question here is, how do they want to kind of reshape their composition? Because I honestly feel like red side has quite a significant advantage, especially in the meta now, especially if you hold up a situational pick within your first 2 bans, then you kind of open up this huge plethora of heroes to go for the counter picks, and you open up so much more. If you're on blue side, I feel like you're so limited by just that one pick. You want to get that combination of 2 in the beginning.
Yeah, I do think that having the combination of 2 will definitely at least set what you really want to prepare for your opponents, or even set some things up with those sort of events where you are trying to force your opponents to actually follow the flow in that sort of sense, to match up with that 2 picks. Where if you don't really match up with things like a fighter, if you actually pick a fighter as well as a mage, then maybe on the falling phase, you'll see a lot more of that options getting taken off the table. So, of course, that's out of the draft. But now we're, of course, taking a couple of moments here before we head in towards draft number 2. Now, Todak here, of course, under pressure. Can they perform? We've seen them in the grand finals, of course, as the first runner of MYSG. Now, challenging the champions of the Philippines. It proves to be quite a difficult challenge for them, but at one point,
the moment he notices, he has such a powerful glare at the camera. Look at that. Oh boy.
Oh,
but yes, as you were saying,
I'm pretty sure that if you were Sun, I'm not too sure about the ladies. Of course, the ladies are just staring at the screen as well. So, of course, and he would stop me on my tracks right there. I was just saying that things were on a stalemate for a moment between two of them, and from the side of Sunsparks, they led the way. They actually break the silence in between, and even though they were on the back foot, they were losing a little bit more of those sort of structures, but yet again, they came back, and they came back swinging hard on the side of Todak as well. So, Todak here, of course, we're talking about a team from the MPL Malaysia qualifiers. This is the first time that they qualified to the MPL on their first run. And now, in the World Championship here, they're actually putting up a good front as well.
Exactly, and I think this is going to be a huge a huge factor coming into Group C, because this is giving the benchmark level that you need to be to beat Sunspark coming into Group C, because they are the favorites to actually come up on top of the group anyway. So, you know, for EvilX and Geo as well, they're both going to be looking at this and be like, all right, so that's what we got to beat. That's the level that they're going to have to play to, and I'm excited to see whether or not they can kind of adapt based on the information at heart.
Here comes the stairs again.
I'm telling you, he just knows when the camera is looking at him. He's just like, ooh.
Maybe he's just treating it like a mirror. I'm not too sure about how the cameraman feels about that in that sort of sense. I'm just really glad that they're having themselves a great time, as well as they're looking like they're in their comfort zones as well. You know, being away from home and to play out a long-running tournament like this is definitely no easy task. You really got to settle in. And of course, if you're halfway across the globe, like from North America, well, you're going to be having to deal with jet lag and all these sort of stuff that's a little bit unnecessary. But, of course, if you are the best in the world, you got to prove it.
You definitely have to prove it here. And right now, I think both of these teams, they're taking their times. The game hasn't started just yet. They might be going to draft a little bit sooner here. And I think they need that discussion. They need the time to think like, okay, what went wrong here? How do we correct this? How do we deal with these players? But man, just like chat, I'm feeling it now. It's like, where is the game?
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, of course, for Todak, I felt like they weren't really making too much of that major mistake that give them that sort of a loss in that sort of sense. I felt like it was down to decision-making when it came down to the final few moments right there. And, of course, as we are anticipating game number 2 here. Now, let's talk about picks. Once our heroes should be removed, because I'm looking at Lunox here. I talked about the high win ratio before we even start off the game, and once again we were proven to be pretty well correct. And Lunox, I'm thinking that Todak could also pick this one for themselves.
Yeah, they could pick it.
Or is there any other mages on
I feel like no matter what, like mages on the table, they just need to be played right. No matter what it is, they all kind of fulfill that same role. They're not unique like Chang'e, where they kind of define how you take certain fights. Same thing as Gusion as well. I think it's like a Harith. You deal a lot of damage. You make sure you don't die. You have options as well. It's kind of like pick your poison. Do you want to have a Beretta this time, or you want to have a bigger gun? It really doesn't matter. They all do the same thing.
Oh, that's right. And if they can actually secure that kill with that one shot that they can get, then that's definitely well worth it. Now, heading in towards the draft here, we're seeing Kaja now. Again, is taken off. Well, of course, first game, it was left out in the open, but Todak here says that they don't really want to get picked off like that. But one thing to factor in, will the Akai be taken away?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they might want to consider getting rid of these bigger playmakers overall. Like, they just want to make sure they don't have to deal with it. Unless Todak is ready to... Unless Todak has something in mind. Like, they tried to take triple purifies just now, just to make sure they don't get punished. Like, even Leomar was still struggling to get out of certain situations because he couldn't deal with the Akai, even with a purify, because they sent 3 members there. So, I don't really know.
Well, of course, it's something that we really gotta slowly ponder about. And now, heading in towards that sort of second man, well, we talked about how it won't be ever seeing this sort of game 2 as well as game number 1. Now, Todak's turn to make a move. They've already gotten some great options being left out in the open. So there's still the Grok, which most likely they are trying to utilize as well. Now, will Sunsparks here remove the export? I feel like they should.
they might consider, now that they're on red side, they might want to consider getting rid of the X-Bar, but they did get rid of the Esmeralda the last time, so I'm not too sure about that. They're kind of thinking on it. If they get rid of the X-Bar or the Esmeralda, it's both understandable, but you're giving it over to Todak, and I think they might not first pick the Esmeralda. You know what? How about not getting the option?
Well, even better in that sort of sense. Now, X-Ray here. Of course, it's both for choice. It's really about what they really want to prioritize here, whether it's the fighter, the tank, or even that sort of mage that we talked about as well.
Kufra.
Now, we also missed out. Kufra being left out in the open. Now, Todak's going to be getting themselves that sort of pick that every one of these teams have been looking out for, but that will mean that Sunspark will immediately, instantaneously, without even thinking twice, locking Hylos as well as X4.
Yeah, overall, I think the Kufra is going to be a really big pick here. So far, it's been 100% pick ban overall. And we've seen Todak play in the MPL. They are proficient with it. Right now, Sunspark have to ask the big question like, oh boy, looks like we're going to have to take Purify again.
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, Todak, of course, maybe this is about time that they actually steal off that Akai as well. So perhaps that will be great. But now, we'll totally didn't see that Valor pick coming in, and now it will be pulling off this sort of strats. And Moon now opting for that Kimi. Now, interesting to note that they're going for this sort of a draft. Well, of course, pretty good damage output overall, but I'm not really too keen on how they're going to be playing this Kimi out, because they're pretty squishy for now. What they need is a solid tank, and they've already taken that Lolita in the hands of Sunsparks.
Yeah. I feel like Todak had to take the Valier so they don't give it over to Sunspark. But then again, Sunspark did have the option to pick it up last game, and they decided not to. So I don't really know. I think this is kind of like, in terms of just like preference, you pick your poison sort of thing. They ban out the carry very early on. It looks like, are they trying to set up for a Grok here? Not so sure, because they know for a fact that Sunspark aren't going to get it, but they could just ban out the Grok for them. They could just ban out the Grok for the second part of the ban phase. Ooh, Diggy this time.
Diggy is definitely one game-changing support that they are thinking of removing, and now we're of course seeing a Gushin, which will dive right in to hunt down that Kimi as well as Valier. So, well, high mobility picks as well coming from inside of Sunspark. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far, and that sort of a ban over on the Kimi is definitely as a respect ban towards JP, because JP on that carry on that previous game was definitely a huge defining factor for their victory as well.
Yeah, I don't know about the Gushin here. I think the Gushin is kind of interesting. They could have gone for the Lunox again, and I think that might have been okay, but again, Valier is a problem, and they wanted to deal with it with the Gushin. Ooh, it's going to be the Masha as well as the Hellcurrent, a potential 1-3-1 composition.
Wow, I'm definitely not expecting this at all, but we know Chikyu to be pretty good at that Hellgrid, so let's see how he will play this one out. From what I'm seeing right here, there's a lot of split-pushing potential coming in from the side of Todak, but if they were to commit to that team fight, I'm not too sure. Is Masha enough to actually front the battle alongside with the Kufra, and how are they supposed to set it up? Because what I'm seeing here from the side of Sunspark is a lot more stable. Even if they were to actually lose a fight or two, they could still slowly wait for that late game to come back up online. And especially with this last pick for Claude, they are definitely going to commit in towards diving right in to secure those kills.
Yeah. Ooh. Locking in the Claude instead of the Granger this time round. Is that a smart choice? I think he should be able to do something here, unless the condition has to be if Valier goes down first, because if Claude decides to go in with the Blazing Duet, I think Valier is going to be able to push him away with no issues whatsoever. So I think like there's a couple of conditions that they have to play around just to make sure they have the most efficient amount of damage.
Yeah, I would say that eventually if they solely get themselves in the mid-game and if all the right conditions are met, if they could go in for it, like maybe a pickup of 2, then maybe by then they would be able to get all these huge items out. But now I'm really torn apart here. I'm not too sure which side I favor most, but from Todak, it's definitely interesting. Yeah. But I'm really looking at their chances in team fights, which I felt like the only thing that I really like is Hellcurt being brought in with the Dark Knight Falls. Sometimes with that sort of ultimate blinding the enemies, they will be, of course, having a little bit of a communication issue to know where exactly are the rest of the enemies in that sort of a scenario. But from what I'm seeing here, the Claude is going to be pretty much doing a whole lot of that dirty work in towards most of these team fights. Now, of course, let's get into the action as we see Game 2 between Todak versus Sunsparks.
Yeah, I think right now Todak is kind of in this position where the moment they hit level 4, they want to force out a lot more fights onto the side of Sunspark, because again, their level 4s isn't as strong as you would imagine, because look at it, Rezio, he's not going to deal as much damage with the Blazing Duet as he wants to. JP has the most amount of damage, and Kale is just going to be by himself for the most part. He's not really going to join the 5v5 as often as you would imagine, because Todak has some superior wave clear.
Well, I really like how they're really switching things up, and this is how flexible Sunspark members are, and they don't really mind of switching things up. And look at that, 2 masks has been purchased by the side of Lolita as well as Export. A little bit of that Revitalize coming from E1 as well. So, of course, that's definitely one spell that's going to be pretty much game-changing in terms of team fight, but I'm not too sure. It's Kufra, not exactly that sort of a hero that likes to stay in one spot.
Yeah, and overall it's just there's too many factors that's running through my head. There's too many factors. Like, it could easily go wrong, and I feel, oh wait, here we go. We can already see that Moon is dealing a good amount of damage to Revelation. He manages to get on out of the skedaddle. Chico's in trouble now. He gets hit by the sword spike. Oh, one more hit. Wasn't able to get that auto attack before the Shadow Blade Slaughter came back in. Fuskin is in trouble. The rejuvenation is not going to be enough. They trade 1 for 1.
Beautiful 1 for 1. One inside the jungle and another on the bottom side of the lane as well. And wow, that was a little bit too close for comfort, as we saw Kill VJ almost dropping out as well. But Todak here, we're responding pretty well with that sort of rotation in towards the enemy's left side of the jungle was pretty much well effective. Now they're hunting out for another, trying to take down JP. E1 gonna go in with the bouncing ball. You can, but that was definitely going to be going in the hands of Todak anyways. And they managed to also secure the turtle at the same time after deleting him off. But wow, this is why a lot of all these teams don't want to even see Kufra being played. But look at Ivan now. He's trying to set things up. Bouncing ball being utilized. And Renzio forced to use the flicker at such early stages. And here comes again.
They're going all in. Oh, instantly getting found. The Numenor Blast actually pulls them through. E1 is in trouble. He already has to use the Tyrant's Rage. They broke the turret, but they need something to kind of respond. But they don't have the damage. Masha in the backline. She needs to clear this up. She needs to clear this up as soon as possible. X-Ray is trying to run Renzio down. He needs to join the fight as the rest of the team is pulled back. Boom. He's trying his best. He's peeling backwards. Chemical Refinement. JP, he's in trouble. X-Ray. X-Ray. He has to do it. He's trying to get one last breath. JP, he goes down. He wasn't able to get the sword spike up, and Rezio makes it out of there. Todak come up on top. Oh, that was so close. It could have gone either way.
Oh, yes, indeed. And now let's have a little bit of a flashback of what just happened. Starting off, we saw Refusio, of course, being focused down by Todak, but because of that overextension, they managed to punish him. But after all of that, X-Ray came just in the nick of time. But E1 still managing to actually go in for those really huge knockups, and Renzio had to actually fall back. And we saw Moon, of course, chunking so much damage. He managed to take down the Halas, but JP, of course, stuck between this really awkward position. It's either they go into commit over Moon or try to deal with X-Ray, which of course they will take that chance against the Kimmy.
Man, that was like a super risky 50-50 for both sides. Luckily, Todak did come up on top.
4 kills already for Moon out of this sort of skirmishes, and now look at Fugusa again, already forcing out that Rox's pathway, and E1 already soaking out the damage, and instead Fuzaken cannot commit. He's already pretty low, but I'm liking what I'm seeing so far from both sides.
Yeah, I think Sunspark, now they're going to be playing from behind. Let's see how the champions of MPLPH actually play this out, because we've seen them get ahead, we've seen them go even, but we've seen game 1 as well. It just fluctuates. They could easily just kick back.
Oh yeah, and for the previous game we saw, of course, E1 as well as Moon, they were, I think Moon has been really consistent, but as for their frontliners, they were taking so much of that sort of hit, but look at that. He just marches right in, but there's no sort of backup coming from the rest of Toda. And now here comes X-Ray joining the table, flickering over the side of JP as well. Arrival on time, but they're still trying to offer that kill. JP escapes, and here comes the last Insanity, diving right at the back as the Luna secures the kill over the Macho. And here comes Dark Knight Bolt. Chiku takes down the Explorer.
3 for 1 Sunspot with superior rotation. Like, wow. I wasn't expecting the cutoff after tier 1. They really dedicated their resources to make sure E1 as well as X-Ray go down.
Well, I definitely did not see X-Ray getting himself so prepared for this, and how they actually turned this one around was pretty well amazing, because Kill VJ, he went in for that commitment, and with Chiku flickering in towards this battle, that's definitely a 1 kill being secure, and Sparks right now trying to fight back in this sort of battle, and they're now only having about less than 2,000 of deficit, so it should be pretty much well enough for them to actually commit, and here comes Eva, get clipped off!
Yep, he's going to be going down with no hitches whatsoever. Very good catch coming in from Sunspark. Again, superior rotations. First it was with the arrival, and this time E1 is definitely disrespecting the opponent. He has to be more careful. Great use of the glorious pathway, just to kind of speed your way up and slow down your opposition from escaping. But X-Ray, he's doing his job really nicely. Even though they gave away 2 kills over to Sunspark, he was able to net himself a turret.
Yeah, and he spots out Renzio right now, cutting across that river. I would say that E1 is just buying a little bit of time, but like you said, he's committing a couple of all these mistakes which should not happen at the global stages at all. Well, he's just overextending all by himself. There's no members of Todak to back him up for 2 times straight. And I felt like maybe he's just getting a little bit of that jitters. But now, with that sort of turtle being spawned up, there's not going to be enough time for the side of Todak to react, because this turtle is being secured by JP.
I think E1 is just he's trying to be the playmaker. He's trying too hard to make the play. He's not waiting for the opportunity. He wants to force it out. He wants to change the tide of the fight against Sunspark. Oh, wait a minute. Is he going to flicker for it? No, they all move away. They're already using the maximum impact here, but on the top side, they're trying to steal away the Gargoyle. This might be a big fight, Kill. He's trying to make it happen. The last Insanity doesn't pop up as much as he wants to, but Fuzukin drops down. The Glorious pathway as they pull on through. Chico, he can turn this around. He wants to pick up X-Point. He gets the cushion instead. Fuzukin is trying to hold his ground. Pops the rejuvenation. Maximum impact doesn't hit, but he still goes down. 2 kills going over to the side of Todak here, and X-Born makes it out scot-free.
This is what I talked about when the Helka comes into play, that when the Dark Nightfall hits, they are all in the disarray. Kill VJ opening up to the last Insana as well, trying to clear the wave, and now one more turret being destroyed over the top side here. And with that being said, Toda have great control over each of these lanes, and within less than a minute, we're going to see the Lord coming into play.
I mean, this could turn again, because we know for a fact that Kill is using Arrival, so maybe they could force out a fight where it looks like it's going to be at bad, use the Arrival to kind of even out the numbers, or maybe get a numbers advantage in the next upcoming fight.
Well, definitely we'll be able to actually put that to advantage, but now we're seeing great positioning coming from the side of Todak, just waiting patiently, hoping that members of Sunspark would be going in for a little bit of that phase check. But there are 2 occupied getting themselves over the top side. What is only going to be Fuzukin right here. And if he gets clipped out, there's still the Rush's pathway, and he could possibly run off. But with the 1 member taken out, then Sunspark will lose out the opportunity, and E1's going to set things up as well. He knows that he's right there, bouncing ball just to stop him for a little while, but they cannot fully commit.
Yeah, man, Ninas is just chunking people out. That's kind of the beauty of Valir here. And Kill, he's trying to make something happen. I'm not too sure what items X-Ray has as of right now, but I think he does have the Corrosive Scythe already. The question is, does he have Wind Talker as well? I need to double check the items to make sure, because then that kind of gives him an opportunity. Oh, he gets caught out. Chiku turns back in. Dark Knight falls. He manages to get the kill. Revelation is now in trouble. They manage to get a double for 1. Moon goes down, but Chiku gets 2.
There was no reason for them to cut by the corner of the river, and immediately gets punished. Chiku being so responsive after taking that double kill, he's going straight after the Lord. And now let's have another look at how Chiku sets this one out perfectly, and he could even do this without the help of the rest of the members of Toda.
Yeah, and I think that was just a really good job overall. It was a good attempt by Sunsparks, but Todak, I think they played that really, really well, and they kind of disrespected how far ahead Chiku is after those 4 kills. Because, man, he is gigantic.
Yeah, he can definitely hit back home to buy whatever sort of a brand new sports car if he wants. But now look at the items. He's already got BOD as well as Endless Battle, and there's still definitely more to come after this. Well, of course, the wings have been bought there by the export.
Oh,
and,
my goodness.
Well, it's going to be Moon just trying to actually pull one shot out of the barrel that he has, and that's definitely one buff headed towards the way of Todak. Well,
Yeah.
Sunsparks have to play it really safely and possibly try to force a sort of a move coming from the side of Todak and punish them for it.
Yeah, and after getting that initial push, they do get the tier 2. They're gonna let Lord die on top side. They're gonna keep on pushing. They're gonna let the wave push through on top side. They're gonna keep on going through. The question is, can they keep? Oh, here it goes. X-Ray's in trouble. Takes a lot of damage. Chiku is at 1 HP. Glorious Pathway is put. Numenon Blast actually locks down the backline. E1, he's holding his ground. He's already used the last insanity here. Nobody has died just yet. E1 is gonna sacrifice himself for the team. Masha runs to the top side of the map, trying to find some pressure.
Well, it's only down to Masha, Valier, as well as KB to actually go out there to just slowly force things upon the side of Sunspark for the very least. Well, of course, not many other major objectives other than the towers are in the eyes of Todak, as we see the goal swinging in favor of the side of Todak the entirety of this whole matchup here. But of course, JP looking to change things up, and like I said, that Gushing here, you may not fancy it for a couple of reasons here, but he definitely pulled off some pretty sick plays overall.
Yeah, he is finding some great catches onto Moon, and Moon so far, oh my goodness, Kyo is in trouble. Chiku tries to predict it, but doesn't find it, but Kyo, he knows he's got, drops the emote just before he goes out, and Chiku with a reply.
Oh my, well, at least they're having a little bit of fun time, but Chiku instead getting pinned down, Flicker being forced away, and now an eye for an eye. Look at him go and pop there. 5 JP. Well, X-Ray says, okay, you can take my member, but I'm going to take your tower as well. Here comes Fuzakin as well as Renzio trying to commit to this, but you know you cannot out-chase this Masha.
Yeah, she's not going to let herself die. She just walks away. 3 health bars still. And right now, they're kind of waiting on Renzio to get all of his items. He buys his Athena shield to kind of protect himself against Nanas as well as Moon. Oh, no. This is not looking like a good fight. Nanas bails out of there. But again, E1 in trouble. Has to go down. But they actually get the arrival out of the export. And now, this kind of opens up the map a little bit more for Masha to play the way she wants to.
That's right. And for Sunsparks here, they're just forcing this sort of a push heading towards the mid lane, and after that, they're going to camp out for the Lord as well, while, of course, JP already forcing a push over the top side here. So they're definitely spoiled for choice. Now spots out X-Ray, but X-Ray is going to wait for the rest of the members to come right after. Of course, the Valley is going to be waiting at the back as well, while Rafflesia already getting that invade towards the lower side of the jungle.
Yeah, they're just holding their ground. I mean, so far it's looking good for Todak. I think this is their window. If they force out another fight, they might be able to win this. They just need to make sure that JP doesn't get into that backline and take out Moon or even Chiku at that point in time. Because, again, both Moon and Chiku are huge.
Well, Moon and Chiku right here. You saw Moon, of course, playing a perfect game in the previous round. It was almost perfect for this game itself, where we saw Moon, the last time that he got a kill, he was deathless as well. So now getting caught out a few times. Speaking of getting caught out right here, Renzio forced to open up that blazing duet. That maximum charge will not land. And Todak here is still trying to open things up over the top side. Well, there will be that immortality in the hands of Kill VJ after a couple of minutes here, heading in towards the mid game. And now E1 once again causing a little bit of flaw, but there is the Lord. They cannot afford to lose any members at all.
Yeah, it really is going to be too difficult. Chiku here, he's just holding his ground. Lord is back up, and now both Sunspark and Todak, they want to contest this.
Well, we're seeing them not really moving all too much of a muscle for the time being, but Masha doing Masha things, just waiting things out and hoping that they will fully commit to the fight, and the Masha will slowly break in towards the top side. And they're sending that export in towards the top, and maybe this is where Todak will try to respond as well, because they know it will be a 5v4.
Great use of the maximum impact there. He doesn't want to walk up and use his range. Instead, oh wait, he's gonna, wait a minute. Is he gonna make it out? Kenji can make it out. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Yes! He makes it just in time, having to use his ultimate to escape, but this gives the green light for Sunspark to take it out. Xmark on the top side of the map getting chunked out, but again, bottom side, they're gonna lose Lord for this. Can they steal it away? Chiku, he's here.
He won! He won! Goes in for the steal! How is this even possible? Coming from the Kuna, and he also takes out the Gushin as well. They're turning things out, and there's Tamasha pushing to the top wave as well. And in the blink of an eye, Todak stats that one away. Now down to Reflex as well as Renzio. Renzio doing some stuff as well. And for the side of Sunsparks, they're hanging on the tread. They're trying to defend the tower, and they will have to lose out Reflex right here.
Oh my goodness, that was such a huge steal, Rezio. He can't fall away. Maximum impact does pick him up, and now Moon, he's just gonna sit right in front of Revelatia's face. He's not gonna let him go without a fight. Revelatia playing this well, using the chunk, but he goes down at the very end. They have already broken mid inhibitor. They want to break that one top side and kill him, even though he used the arrival to protect himself. This is not looking good for Sunspark. That one steal might have cost them the game. They're going for it. Todak wants to end this.
Todak here will push it into the game tree. They're crashing in the base, and the Lord is heading in, and they will push and force this game upon Sunsparks here, who could not defend at all.
Oh my goodness. After E1, he was struggling to perform. He was trying to make things happen. He finally did. He finally decided to be patient, waited for his opportunity, and stole away a game-changing, game-winning Lord.
Yeah, and of course, we were pretty harsh on him on the early stages of the game, where he was actually committing mistakes after mistakes, but he definitely redeemed himself in the late phase, going in with the drive fire as he hops upon, stealing it with only very little health. I thought that there will be the retribution to secure it, but of course, Sunspark lost that sort of matchup in a blink of that sort of moment, and now the MVP, you really gotta give it to Chiku, because Chiku was in that sort of game-changing fight. There was also that triple kill as well as the double.
Yes.
And we saw how they were actually rotating across the map so efficiently. And Sunsparks, this time around, they really got to bow out. And JP, though he did a lot this game, it was not really enough, because he can only focus one target at a time.
Yeah, he trades 1-for-1 almost every single time he goes into the fight, and always finds a priority target, or at the very least chunks out everybody enough to kind of allow his team to play with more space. But overall, this has just been an absolutely insane series here at the M1. Group C started off with a really good game.
Oh yeah, and I'm really glad that we actually woke up really early to the studios for this. And look at E1 here. Of course, he's slowly tanking things out, and he's setting the tempo for X-Ray to come by. Of course, X-Ray flickers in, finish off the kill, and Fuzaken alongside with Renzio. They're going for that chase, but Moon was way too powerful in that sort of early phase. And look at Renzio, of course, he's level 4. What can he possibly do? And even so, he did manage to escape with that flicker coming up online. And for the side of JP, he's just taking all the chances that he can get.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been an absolutely insane series. Like, I don't know how both teams could have played it. It really came down to that one big play towards the end. They were going pretty even, and Todak did have a pretty decent lead, honestly. And I think even if Sunspark was able to get the Lord there, I think Todak had a really good response. They killed X. They tried to deny X-Spark on the top side. They broke mid inhibitor anyways.
Oh yeah.
And then at that point, it's like, okay, your Lord doesn't matter as much as it used to.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't really all too much of a concern. But wow, we saw Sunsparks also making a couple of rash decisions. And one great example was right here, where they were definitely torn apart and they were slowly segregated from one another, and that's how Todak managed to punish them. And in this sort of matchup here, look at Chiku. He went in for that mega kill, and they didn't even need the help of E1 to secure this double upon the Lolita.
Yeah, and what's really disappointing to see at the very is Fuzagen being played into a very linear hero. Like, he's doing the job, but he is a playmaker. Like, at heart, you can definitely see him wanting to do more with the high loss, but the high loss can only do one or two things. He drops down the ult, runs at people, absorbs damage. He's not a playmaking hero. He needs that playmaking capability, because I think that's where he shines the most.
Yeah, I certainly agree. It's so different as compared to the Akai. Yes, we saw him tanking a lot of that damage, but we need him to actually force members to move about. And look at Renzio right here. Then after that sort of steal, they don't really know how to even respond to that. Like, he flickers back and he changed his direction and focus back towards the side of E1. Well, of course, they're trying to actually bring the fight towards Toda, hoping that they do not march in towards the mid lane as well. But it was all said and done when the Lord marches in towards the crystal, and that was definitely that finishing blow. And Todak definitely well deserving of this win.
Yeah. Crushed it, absolutely crushed it, but I think Sunspark, they put a very good fight here, and they really pushed Todak to the very limit until the very end. So, again, this is going to be a really exciting Game 3.
Oh, yes, indeed. And now, it's still a 50-50. Like, we saw, of course, the first game itself, there was like a yo-yo where we saw the goal swinging up and down, red side, blue side, but this time, Game 2, Todak pretty much took it really convincingly, and on that sort of a goal, it was always on their favor most of the time. And there was only a couple of those pick-offs every now and then. Of course, E1 committing a couple of all these sort of blunders, and a lot of great movements coming from the side of JP. So maybe that sort of switcheroo was not really advisable in that sort of sense, because I definitely prefer seeing JP back on that marksman. Not to say that he's worse on the mages. It's more...
okay, I'm going to give him credit, because he is a flexible guy.
Very flexible guy.
Very flexible, and he played that well. Like, honestly, Ritsu did a pretty good job. JP did a really, really good job. The only problem is that they didn't exactly have a lot of playmaking capability. When you have something like a Lolita and a Hylos, you're pretty much like one-dimensional.
Oh, yeah, and we definitely talk about how one-dimensional that pick is, but it's that sort of tankiness that they sort of needed in those team fights. But it's really how they actually play out the team fight as well, which was a little bit chaotic, of course. When you turn off the lights with the Helker coming into play, it's causing them a lot of that sort of trouble to actually get things around. Now, heading in towards this final game of the best of 3 here, we're seeing the Harif not even getting a single game off the series, and Kufra, of course, they're not going to be actually opening things up for the side of Sunspark to actually go in with that sort of pick. So, Sunspark here.
Esmeralda. Esmeralda.
Most likely. Most likely.
That, or they're just going to be like, you know what, Helker was too much of a problem last game.
If I were to be in the seats of Sunspark, I would say the same to the captain, like, hey, should we do this?
No, I was making a joke about that one. No, do not actually ban out the Helker. The Helker wasn't the biggest issue you have to deal with.
They'll get debated if they actually do. But But even if they actually negate that Helker, at least they will have one less thing to worry about in that sort of sense. But the real problem right here was not really that sort of hero coming to effect, but it's actually a Hylos ban. Now,
they're changing it up.
Changed things a whole lot. Now, that means this is going to force Todak to actually ban out the export, or even the Kaja that we talked about.
Honestly, they can ban out the Esmeralda, give them the export, and then eventually go for a better pick for yourself, or you can hold it up and pick up export. The question is, how much do you prioritize export? They're just going to leave it all out on the table here. Esmeralda is up on the field, Grok is up on the field, there is no Kaja, and they will have the opportunity to pick up an Esmeralda this time round.
Now we're looking at the members of Sunsparks, of course. No more Death Stares coming out of all these members, but they will instead go in for the Grok immediately. So, Todak, we've already talked about the export most likely coming into effect. So, let's talk about the pairings right here. So, if they're getting the export, what will be the next best pick? Because you talk about Esmeralda, they are locking in the carry.
They lock in the carry. They could go for the Esmeralda here if they wanted to, because, I mean, they've got the setup. I'm not going to lie. Like, hey, what you thinking here, boys? Because you banned out the Kaja. You're definitely trying to set up for something. If not, why didn't you ban out the export? They're kind of using export as a bargaining chip here. It's like, hey, do you want it? Like, if you want it, we can pick it up for you.
Chill.
Finally, someone decides to pick up the chill.
Oh, now this means that they're actually really confident to actually deal with the export. So they're leaving it out in the open once again for the side of Sunsparks. And of course, we saw some of these members who are actually really flexible coming from the side of Sunsparks, and they will definitely pick it up alongside with Masha. So we're already seeing a lot of all these frontliners for the side of Sunspark. So heading into the second phase here, I'm looking at members of Todak. What possibly would they be able to actually take away from this?
It's tough because right now, if Sunspark decides to go with the Xborg as well as the Masha, that means Xborg is going to go into the support position. They're going to have some great wave clear, but again, it's about that playmaking capability like we were talking about just now. I would like to see Fuzukin to play Akai one more time because he was doing an absolutely monstrous job. But again, stick to the meta, stick to the things that work.
Yeah, and well, Akai definitely wasn't one thing that worked, but they have different sort of plans heading in towards the last game of this first series of the day. And Todak now, having that Lunox being opened up, they're going to take it away from Kill VJ in that sort of sense. And of course, Todak themselves are also very familiar when it comes to playing the Lunox with great high win ratios as well back in the MPL. Now, heading in towards the second phase, I'm seeing a lot of that sort of possibilities right here. Of course, early on, we see some Sparks banning out Diggies, so I think that should not be even factored in because Todak hardly goes in for that, but there was a couple of games that they did actually go for the pick, but Lolita is that sensible choice.
Todak needs to ban out. Oh.
Whoa.
Your team is
Smart
picking.
move.
I think the smarter move came from Sunspark because now they have options of both Kimmy as well. Like initially they were setting up for both Kimmy and Chang'e, and now they basically get Kimmy for free at this point in time. Because you can see Todak, if they pick Kimmy now, it's going to mess up their team composition so much.
Well, I don't think that it would possibly be too much of that thing to factor in because if you open up the Chang'e as well, it's going to be pretty much a really hard game to play because you already got so many of these great frontliners. All you need is something that is pretty much well secured to actually protect yourselves, and usually Chang'e could actually cover that sort of distance without fully committing. Well, of course, you could say the same about Kimmy right there, but I would definitely prefer a Chang'e to a Kimmy any sort of day at all. And Todak's secret strat, bringing in the Malaysian legendary hero Badang into the picture here. Of course, we've seen some great frisk crack being played out by some of the teams of Group A, Group B. Now, Group C, where they're definitely not missing out on this meta as well. Like you said, this will be the Kimmy as well as the Granger, falling in the hands of Sunsparks.
Yeah, I think they set this up absolutely perfectly. The way they played that pick match, really smart. The question is Xbox still going to be extremely viable in this sort of meta, especially as a support? Yes, we've seen teams do it before, but Baxia is going to be the pick of choice. That's interesting because at least 4 of their members buy healing items, so it makes sense that they want to kind of go for the backline and deny that healing.
Well, I would definitely say that Baxia was that sort of a surprise pick that they did not really see coming, but we've seen the Indonesians play all too well. And, well, heading in towards this very final game, definitely we're favoring the side of Sunspark's composition on how they actually drafted this. And, well, I gotta say, Todak here definitely having the guts to actually leave out so many things out in the open and gave it for free towards the enemies in that sort of sense, which means that this is something that they might have just planned out, which they don't really want to, like, hey, oh, great picks, great meta, and, like, why not we just give them and try to counter it in a different way.
Agreed. I think what was interesting was the Cho pick. They were flexing it for the longest time, and then they finally brought out the Badang, and then it became clear, okay, now Cho is going to go into the tank position. I think it's pretty interesting because, again, in the matchup itself, you have to deal with this X-Borg, and though you have the mobility and rotational prowess, it's going to be a tough matchup still if you put him into the fighter. So it's smart that they picked the Badang. The question is, can they force out a big team fight? Because Masha is always going to be split pushing, and we know for a fact that the Philippines, they were the ones who decided, split pushing is the way to play the game, and they evolved from then on out.
That's right, and now we're heading into this very final game. And wow, how would this be even possible? And well, we talk about that Badang coming into play here, and the possibilities of him getting even close to kill VJ is going to be pretty tough to even begin with. So how could they actually play this one? Renzio slowly getting themselves that sort of a proxy towards the side of the bottom side, and now, of course, Sunspark trying to actually focus their sort of forces in towards the top lane as well.
Yeah, and I think Badang is going to be, again, we saw X-Ray on the Leomord the last time. Badang this time is probably going to be the point of contention for the side of Sunspark as well, but it looks like they want to play around their top side a little bit more to have that numbers advantage and, kind of steal away the smaller camps instead of the buffs.
Yeah, and like I would say that they just take anything that they could possibly get for the time being. And now a little bit of challenge over the top side here. Fuzaken trying to actually steal that one. Oh,
he stole it. He stole it. Oh my goodness. That has got to suck so bad. Now they're under a lot of pressure. Caleb is already level 4. He's going to pressure Chico out of it. No, this lane is looking so bad already.
Oh no, Chico's the first one to fall, as we see. First blood given away to the side of Sunspark. But here comes E1 on that box here. But there is no business for him at all.
This is interesting because we know for a fact, I'm surprised that Moon didn't decide to go up top side. Instead, he kind of chilled up. If you look at the minimap, he went bottom side to take the river crab instead of helping the top side and kind of rotating with his teammate. And I think that in itself, just like such a small thing of being late to a rotation, cost them so many members.
Oh, definitely it was really costly. And we're looking at that sort of a buff loss was already a huge blow to members of Dota. And now having to actually hug by the corners of the turret, and with all 4 members crashing in, well, Sunsparks now having that really great 1k of the difference heading through this game is going to be pretty much well securing themselves this turtle if they were to force out members of Todak.
Yeah, and right now Todak is playing a great game so far, but you know, small micro mistakes have cost them a little bit, but I think they should be able to come back. They were able to play from behind last time. I think it shouldn't be too difficult to slowly come back into this. Turtle is going to be going over to Sunspark. Again, they got to keep abusing their advantage, make sure Todak don't have an opportunity to come back.
Yeah, and I really love how Renzo is playing this match as well. From even the previous game, I think that Renzo has been pretty much phenomenal in all these games. And for the side of Fuzaken, of course, now he's playing a Grok, which means that he really got to set the tempo straight for them. And now already taking a little bit of that chunk of the breaks off of that sort of mid lane tower is going to be pretty effective. And kill VJ. Did he just steal another buff?
Yeah, they are just denying everything from Todak. It's only 3 minutes of the game, and they've developed at least a 3k goal lead. Chico forcing half the flicker here. Ninas might be able to get a catch. He does actually go for it. Way of the Dragon onto an opposite target. JP was able to get out of the way. Death Sonata is coming through. They don't get any picks whatsoever. Sunspark has just turned it up another notch. They're not letting Todak get any advantages across the map.
That's a little bit of missed opportunities, but they're trying for the second time coming. And Raplicia is still holding on. And here goes Moon with a flicker as well. This will be a little bit of a goner. And wow, flicker of course being popped, but JP right here will be, of course, just watching things slowly crumbling downwards. But here comes Fuzaken as well, giving some support. Whoa, that's a big blow. And there goes mega kill for the Granger.
Woo, they are getting super far ahead. JP is gigantic. 4 kills under his belt. I think Sunspark is just tired. They haven't even showed their true form just yet.
I told you about JP on those marksmen, and wow, already 4 kills. And this might just be the 5th one coming in. And wow, unstoppable by the way.
Yeah, and Todak is just feeding them the kills at this point. Sunspark is just gobbling them all up. They'll take all the protein they will that Todak gives.
Well, I'm not too sure about protein, and they're looking like vegetarians right now. Like they're really being starved out of all these sort of things that they could possibly get from the jungle. And we can evidently see Sunspark here, when they show aggression, they want to make sure Todak gets nothing in return.
All I can think of is the anime glasses. You haven't even seen my final form. Glasses got mirror glass sheen, scoops across his eyewear. Oh, Rezio in trouble now. He's taking quite a bit of damage. He's going to be going down. Finally, a pickup for Todak here. But what are they going to lose?
Well, maybe the pair of glasses in that sort of sense.
Oh, my glasses.
Well, of course, you can actually change it up to actually see their power meters in that sort of sense. But look at that go. One more tower down, and Sunsparks immediately opening up the map, and I'm not even sure if I'm really seeing this correctly. 5,000 in difference against Todak here.
Yeah.
Of course, we saw that sort of aggression coming from Todak for the past 2 games, and now they seem a little too silent for my liking. And of course, Todak getting this only sort of buff that they could possibly get on the side of Moon, as they are still pretty much, well, not really getting so much of that great levels on their side.
Agreed. Yeah, they're really being starved out. Fuzaken, he's just going to walk in. He doesn't really care. He's so far ahead of the game that it's just like, you know what, power nature, walk in, walk out. Cool, their team is there. Let's bail out. Let's go for a different lane. And overall, Sunspark, they've got a huge lead, and we saw Todak. They only had a 5k goal lead, and that won them the game already. Sunspark now have at least a 6k goal lead. Let's see how hard they want to stop this game.
Well, they can just slowly turn out the red carpets, and Grezio will be rendered down. And wow, here comes Todak trying to actually do hard ways, but wow! That wall charge hits it too, stops it on the tracks, and the rest of Sunsparks are coming into the picture as well. And JP now trying to actually take one member up, flickering backwards. That's not the direction that you should even be considering.
Yeah, but again, Todak is trying to play across the map here. 7k goal lead for Sunsparks. This is looking so good for them. Let's look at the replay one more time because Fuziken, he knew he was in the bush. He's like, all right, I got to make sure they don't go back. This is 3 kills for my team.
And he already predicted it. He knows that they'll be there, and it just landed perfectly onto 2. Speaking of Fuziken, he's in trouble right now. He was going to be right in the middle, and X-Ray goes in as Kill VJ, forced to flicker away, and whoopsie.
You know what? I can respect that from Todak. They were close, but not close enough. Like, that lead was able to keep Sunspark alive for the most part. Had they not... Nana doesn't get it. Wrong direction, and JP was able to get a free kill off of that. Good attempt, though.
You could see that things are slowly breaking out, and well, things are definitely looking a little bit more bleak for the side of Todak as well, and they are on a different sort of page coming from different members. Like, you saw one after another, they tried to actually dive into the fight, and well, I can't really say all too much about what Nunas tried to attempt right there, and he was already low to begin with, and there's nothing that they could actually do against Sunspark, even if this child decides to hit right in. Like, what? Are you gonna kick up Masha or something?
I really don't know what to say, because like, you are looking for those angles, and when you are playing Tro, you just have to look for these opportunities, even if it might cost you your life. At least trading 1-for-1 in this position for a priority target is worth it.
Oh yeah, and look at Fuziken though. He's so confident in his approach. He's just slowly showing all sort of the emotes that he has. And of course, we saw a lot of all these great King of Fighters skins as well. If they were to be playing Chao, of course, Nunas, 0-3-1 right now. Not really the best of stats, as we see Chao slowly falling off the radar here, and Nunas will be heading for a kick. Like I mentioned, there's no point even dealing with the frontliners here, and Fuziken is just fucking him at his time of fun.
Yeah, Death Sonata even popped as well. Moon is chunked to half. He should be able to heal with no problem whatsoever. But again, Sunspark is so far ahead. 9k already. They have starved out Todak. They are just that anorexic kid in the corner just looking for anything for themselves to try and get fat.
Well, I'm not sure, like, if you have anorexia, you're going to take a long time to even get there to start off with, unless if they do another miraculous stunt to take down this lord, but no miracles will be happening so far.
I mean, you gotta play it with the mindset of Nunas. He's trying to make that play thinking he's fat, even though he really isn't. But now X-Ray is trying to pull out of the way. Brilliance is already pulled up, but they don't want him to go. Flicker comes out. They're gonna sacrifice. No members lost just now, but Masha on the back line kills Chico solo by himself.
Oh, Renzo, of course, soaking a little bit too much, but he's still well and alive. Monster kill for JP, and how on earth will Toda will be able to even get close to the Granger? Here comes the Lord as well, trying to open things up. E1 immediately melted down like butter. Godlike going in for JP as they crush down the mid lane as well. Here comes the Nuts going on the back. What can they do? That will be one more kill going in for the Kimmy, and now only down to X-Ray as they will take the series, and now Sunspark will be leading away 2-1.
Again, we haven't even seen their final form, and they decided all of a sudden it's like, playtime is over. We need this 2-1.
Yes, indeed, and they needed this so much, and they're just here to prove themselves why they are the best hailing from the Philippines.
Yeah, and Todak here, Game 3 must be so devastating for them because, again, they never had an opportunity to really come back into the game. Chico was getting targeted time and time again. The rest of the team couldn't get ahead, and I think, honestly, Sunspark, they played a strong game. Todak put a really good fight. If this went to a best of 5, I think we would have seen a completely different game.
Oh yeah, I'm really looking forward for those best of 5s. But for now, we gotta just settle for those best of 3s. And JP, undoubtedly the MVP of the matchup. And well, let's talk about the rest of the team because I like how Fuziken as well as Warfisa played out. Renzo, although he fought 2 times in this entirety of the match, he was actually pulling a lot of strings to actually make things work, taking down a lot of towers. And as for Nunas, I felt like, you know, the priority on that show was unnecessary.
Yeah, honestly, I would have liked to see a better showing of the Cho this time around, but you have to admit, Fuziken played a strong game, and when you have Kimmy Grok, your aggression, you just have to be hyper-aggressive. You have to make sure they can't even breathe. And I thought for a fact that X-Ray was going to get targeted. He was not the target. Sunspark is like, you know what? Forget about X-Ray. We're not going to let him play the game once we crush down Shiku as well as Nanas.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a sort of composition that Toda is not exactly all too familiar with, as we see them not really opting for this sort of a setup. But wow, that wall that was set up coming from the Grok definitely secured them pretty much great advantages. And we talk about them getting starved out. And, well, pickoffs, and pickoffs. Of course, Todak here trying to reply somewhere in the middle of the game, but this game-changing wall charge here definitely stopped Moon as well as E1. But E1, of course, still have a little bit of leeway right there, but unfortunately for Moon, of course, he had to bow out. But we're heading in towards that mid-game where we hit in towards 9-minute mark. When the Lord came up, there's just no stopping Sunsparks by then.
Yeah, it's just such a tough game to play at this point, and I think having Revelatia, he did a good amount of work, and especially with the true damage, making sure that, you know, he has that, you know, availability. He can kind of just tank pretty much all the camps with his passive as well. He has like an unseen presence in a lot of these games, and though he comes in with Last Insanity to kind of, you know, absorb as many abilities as possible, chunk out a number of people in the backline before he kind of bails out and, you know, lets Grok kind of do the rest of the work for him. I think overall Sunspark just played a very clean game this time around.
Yeah, and this time, of course, not only clean, they were so decisive in every single thing that they were just forcing Todak to play on that turf, and every single terms and condition were met to actually get themselves that sort of lead. And it all started off by that jungle raid. That jungle raid was so nasty. Every single buff, as well as some of these camps, have been snatched away. And, well, I don't know. They're just going to be spamming a lot of all these feels bad for the side of Todak.
Agreed.
Well, I guess like there's still more to fight for because we are still having a lot more of these matchups coming up. And now, let's see what the winners have to say as Sunspark claims this victory 2-1.
Let's go throw it over to the interview.
Thank you so much, all the casters here. There was a fantastic, intense match here between Sunspark going up against Todak. And here with me, I have Raflisha from Sunspark himself here. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Excited. Yeah.
Excited here. Right after match here, you immediately taking 2-1 against Todak Esports. And oh my, Todak has been one of the top contenders from the Malaysian region, especially you know, with that dominating performance in game number 1. Were you expecting that kind of gameplay in the first game itself?
Yeah, we expected them to be that strong. We just play with our best. That's why we came with a good start. Then the second game we lost. Then we boost ourselves again so we can end the game in 2-1.
All right. And I gotta ask this here. You know, it's your first time coming into its M1 World Championship. I gotta ask a little bit more of the teams here. Who's your youngest in your team?
Kel BJ, 14 years old. He's our fighter, marksman, or mid lane. Yeah.
Wow, a multi-role at 14 years old coming up into the globals. I have to ask this here. We saw in game number 1, he was playing the mage role. And then in game number 2, they switch up into the off-lane fighter role here. And now he's putting back onto the base here. Are you guys still trying to find a playstyle coming in from your team?
Yeah, there's a lot more to learn. We always practice to change roles, to rotate our playstyle so we can have a better gameplay.
Wow, that's a little bit tough here. No, that sounds like there's a lot of history behind what you're going through. You mind sharing a little bit here of Sunspark's journey coming before heading towards the world stage?
Actually, it's a really fun journey because we always eat together, we always bond together. That's why every game we always have fun, we always enjoy the game. Every outcome is a very good outcome for us.
All right. Last question here. How long have you guys been playing together?
Almost a year.
My oh my, 1 year and they're here at the World Station. That's Sunspark for you. Thank you so much, Raficia. And of course, good luck towards the next games to come here. And of course, Daisy, for those of you watching here, we are going to be taking a short break. But as of now, let's take a look at what the casters think about this interview. So casters, take it away.
Loving the optimistic approach coming in from the side of Sunspark as they claim victory rightfully. And wow, of course, 14 years old prodigy with that multi-role coming in. Kill VJ is definitely one player that we really have to look out for. Of course, Gideon, we've seen what they have to offer here. Is there going to be any other teams there that could topple down Sunsparks in this group?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm waiting for like Indonesia to like get into the mix during the playoffs to kind of see how this all metals down, man. It's gonna be absolutely insane.
Yeah, definitely going to be pretty much insane. And now we're going to go into a short break, and when we come back, we're going to bring you match number 2. This is Contra here, as well as Gideon Q signing off.
For one goal.
Now, we're going to be taking that life of the Akayas. We're going to use them to jump on the Emerald.
Put your hands together for the champion.
Do you have what it takes to be a champion worthy of the highest glory? hit rock bottom. You may have been craving for the lights. Now, all strive for one goal.
Taking that life of the Akai elsewhere. They're giving them the jump on the Emerald.
Put their hands together for the champion.
Do you have what it takes to be a champion worthy of the highest glory?
Do you have what it takes to get your game on and win the World Championship? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mobile Legends Bang Bang World Championship 2019. This is day 3. We're going into Group C, the second series of today. I'm Husky and I'm joined by IC Baby 12.
Hey, my, oh my, what an intense match here just now to start things off. We had earlier on Todak going up against Sunspark. 2-1 from the side of Sunsparks here. And fortunately say Todak will be proceeding in towards this round and he's going to be playing again. But this time it will be against Evo Esports from Turkey. So I'm looking forward to see how things are going to go in this second matchup.
Absolutely. And of course, this World Championship is presented to you guys by Muntun, and of course supported by KBS. This is also live streaming exclusively on YouTube Gaming. And of course, if you guys are watching right now, catch every battle stream like cray. Get unlimited data for all apps with Giller Unlimited GX30 only with your mobile.
Yes, my, oh my. And speaking of which here, remember to catch all the streams here because we are going to be expecting some intense matches here. Today, we saw 2-1 from side of Sunsparks and now from the side of Todak. Do they need to step it up here, especially for Malaysia fans? And for the sake of Malaysia, they need to step up and try to pull a win here because they've got 1 point. Okay, fortunately for them, from the first series, they still have 1 point of it taken away from side of Sunspark.
Yeah.
But now, they need like what? Clean 2-0s, maybe 2-1 here if they want to stand a chance, but I'm not too sure about that. But Evo Esports, this is going to be their first debut match here. They do have a chance. They will be the one to beat the obstacle in the face of Todak.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you've played your first series and you don't come out with a win.
Oh yeah.
Todak have one less series to play because this is their second game. As we both have seen just now. Especially Todak. I want to talk about the first series. I came in expecting a full 3 game, but props to Sunsparks for that amazing game 3. They roll over Todak. Now going up against Evo Esports, a team that we don't normally get to see or we are not normally exposed to, especially for our domestic region. They might pull off the Burmese Goose effect, those off-meta picks that might catch Todak off guard. If you're Todak right now, you have to kind of recover and just readjust yourself to get ready for this new series.
Fair enough. In this case as well, Evo Esports, they have 1 game advantage in a sense where they actually had the good read here on how Todak was playing against Sunsparks early on. So in this case, in terms of the draft here, we may see a little bit of a switch up coming from Evo Esports just to deal with Todak. But adaptability is the key. We've known here from Todak, especially because we are from Malaysia as well. We've seen a lot of their games here, and they've known to be able to play a lot of different kind of drafts here. So I'm not too sure if the guys from Evo Esports will be able to get caught off guard. But one of the notable heroes that we actually want to bring up is going to be the Hellcut pick here.
Yeah, the Hellcut. We've seen Chiku on the Hellcut during Game 2 against Sunsparks. Absolutely amazing performance. Was able to kind of hard carry the team and allow the rest of Todak to kind of recover from a slight early deficit. But Evo Esports, we talked about this. They have been watching how Todak plays. They kind of have an idea. Todak against Sunsparks in the last series, it was always Harif Esmeralda. Harif Esmeralda. The final game is Harif and Hylos taken up by Sunsparks. Evo Esports, they're not going to follow that pattern right now. They're going to ban out the Kaya, and Todak will take out Akai.
Yeah, and I want to bring out one point as well. I was watching a couple of their awards as well when they were playing their qualifiers. They play a really mean Grok. Like, they have a Grok player who just does so much in terms of team fights where they go for this flicker Grok, which doesn't make sense for me, but it worked out for them. I'm not too sure if they're going to be pulling the Grok strat here, but it seems to me Todak is going to be banning on Akai. Yes, they do. I think it's a great ban here from Todak. It was a specific respect ban towards Evil, just because they do play Archive a lot during their qualifiers.
Yeah, and Todak might have a bit of flashbacks from the Archive coming in from Sunsprox as well in that game 1 that absolutely dominated them. But like you mentioned, it is a safe pick, it is a safe ban, a respect ban. Now it's Evil Esports' turn to make their choice. They're taking their time with this and they're going to go with the high loss.
Your team
Well, the high loss is pretty much banned here, but speaking of which, the Kimi is pretty much up for grabs here. So Todak may consider just, banning Xbox or Kimi, but just based on the previous series as well, Todak has not gave a damn about Xbox apparently.
No.
They're okay with dealing with Xbox.
Yeah, 3 games consecutively for Reflected to
Yeah.
play that very mean Xbox, and they are gonna go for the grok. You mentioned that Evil Esports, they play a really mean grok that somehow worked in their for their playstyle, and Todak they will show that respect. They take out the grok. We're kind of falling back to this a lot of tanks taken out kind of meta, but guess what? Kufra is now open for the 2nd time today. If Kufra gets picked up, it will be the 3rd Kufra pick across the board.
Well, I have to correct you there a little bit here. It was Renzio who's played the Xbox from Sunsparks, and also later on was played from QVJ as well. They switch up the roles a little bit. However, yeah, you talked about the Grok as well. Yes, they play a really good one as well. But even in terms of S tier tactics here, I like how they just ban off immediately the high loss and also the Grok, just to deny all the super tankiness from the hero pool as well. But we know Todak can play a lot of tank roles. They're not too afraid about that. However, the Harry first pick here from the side of Evo Esports, this is something I'm really worried here, because this immediately opens things up for the side of Todak to actually pick off the Kufra and also the Esmeralda if they want. I'm not surprised if they first pick the Kufra here. It's kind of like a must pick, but seems to me they're going to be prioritizing on the Masha instead of the Xborg.
Yeah, Kufra, a direct counter. We talked about this before the broadcast. If you see a Kufra, counter to Harry, counter to carry, any hero that wants to dash around, that wants to be mobile, is ineffective in that bouncing ball. They leave the X ball open, but I feel like it's completely fine. You have that Kufra in front. It stops so many so many avenues from all the other meta heroes as we speak. So Evo Esports, with that priority on the Harif, they must have an idea to make this work.
Yeah, I like how you brought up the Kufra as well. I think like in the previous series as well, we saw game number 2. That was how Todak actually won. We saw how tanky, I think it was E1 was playing the Kufra was just super ridiculous. And it was just insane, honestly speaking. And now, like I said as well, Xbox will be taken here from the side of Evo Esports, carry as well to close things off. But Todak, what are you going to be playing here? Okay, Kimi, pretty standard stuff here. Masha, Kufra, and Kimi. So they have another tank still available, not shown yet. But Evo Esports, I'm worried here. If you think about it, right? Most of the S tier tanks is pretty much taken out of the pool. Hylos is out. Grok is out. Kufra is pretty much out here in favor of Todak. What kind of tanks are we going to be expecting here from Evo Esports? Like, what? Gatot?
Yeah, Gatot, Franco, there's still the Lolita, they got a better Chang'e, and if you're Todak right now, you're looking, maybe the Lolita ban is going to be a really juicy one. Lolita does extremely well against the Kimi, you block all the projectile, the maximum charge as well, the Kimi's ultimate. If Lolita can catch that, can intercept that, it will be very good for Evo Esports. Another concern that we previously slightly touched on is the fact that you have the Harif, you have the carry, where Kufra just instantly counters them if he gets on top of them with that bouncing ball. There we go, Lolita taken out by Todak. That is all your top tier tanks on paper eliminated from the hero pool.
Wow.
Evo Esports now, they have a big choice to make.
This is tough here from Evo Esports because the tanks are pretty much taken out here as well. I think, okay, the Kaja is pretty much out as well. They can still play the Valia support if they want to, but it's not that great. You may transition into a Badang support if they want to from side Todak. But once they take out all these tanks here, I'm worried from side Evo Esports. They force them in a situation where they have to play tanks like what, a Mino, a Tigreal, maybe. But okay, seems to be it's gonna be a Valir here from side Todak, and I don't know, man. Esmeralda is pretty much still up for taking if you want to deal with the Harif later on. But they're saving that final pick here, try to play a little bit of flex pick here. The Valir pick, is it gonna be support or is it gonna be mid? Or is it going to be the mage here from side Todak? That's going to be the last pick here to open things up and decide on this final drafts coming from Evo Esports.
And it's hard because before the Gato pick, I actually like the Gato pick because it is basically the safest and the best choice for Evo Esports.
Yeah.
The Franco is not going to work because of Kufra. You cannot pick Tigreal because Valley just pushes you back with the wall. So the best chance that Evo's has, the safest one, is the Diggy and the Gato. Diggy with the time journey to protect the team, and of course the Gato Gacha to be that main front line that Evo Esports have to kind of pin their hopes on. Todak though, feeling pretty good about themselves. themselves. They didn't go. They didn't finish the first series with 0 points, and coming into this, they want to get that 2-0. They have the last pick advantage as well. You look at the Diggy, you look at the Gatot. Toda, any pick that they pick right now is going to be great. Esmeralda, I would love that pick if they decide to go for that.
I wouldn't be surprised here, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty happy about this here. They have not much answer towards the Diggy here, but it seems to me it will still with the Hellcat here, and I honestly think Evo Esports is in some trouble because not many heroes can actually deal with Hellcat. But at the same time, they drafted the Hellcat here, considering they did not pick the Gusion to deal with the Xbox here. We've been focusing on the Harif too much here. We completely forgotten about Xbox, but we need heroes like Gusion or even the Hellcat to actually deal with the Xbox. So that was a great final pick here from Hellcat. Honestly speaking, I'm definitely going to be favoring Todak's draft just because I'm not a big fan of Gado Kacha.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Todak's draft look more robust. If we talk about on paper, on textbook, Todak is following the script. But for Evo Esports, at the same time, that is a lot of burden on your carry. We talk Harif, sure, he is also the main core for Evo's Esports, but when the game progresses, you need that carry to shred through this Kufra, to shred through this, to kind of survive against this Masha. Harif now that will then transition to this core that has to deal with this Hellcat alone. You cannot leave the carry because Jigu, we've seen him play an absolutely insane Hellcat. Todak, they got their main picks, they are comfortable in their zone. We're not sure about Evo's Esports just yet, but I'm interested to see what they have to bring to the table.
Yeah, definitely here. Evo Esports, they do stand a really solid chance here, but all hope of them here is going to be on the Xbox player here, to my space, especially with the Harif as well, because they have those kind of early engagements here. We talked about, hey, we need those Groks, we need those Hylos here for those early engagements. Harif is one of those early heroes here, and if Todak finds a way to actually stop them in the track, this is where Kufra and Hellcat will slowly scale into the later game here. But ladies and gentlemen here, this is going to be Evo Esports from Turkey going up against Todak from Malaysia in this best of 3 series here at the MLBB World Championship 2019 M1.
Yeah, and also to slightly touch on the Hellcat pick, because the Kaya was already banned now by Evos in that first phase, it is really safe to pick this Hellcat. You don't have anyone to kind of use a Divine Judgment and pull the Hellcat out of position to kind of disable this Kimi and Todak. They recognize the early disadvantage that Evo Esports has. They're going to collapse on that bottom part immediately. Carry was left alone. Galo Kacha is not there. So Todak, they can easily get on this objective, especially with that Kimi.
Wow, this is something I'm not expecting from Todak. They actually went for a single tank setup here. So Nana's going to be the main support here. But in this case, now here comes the engagement. A1 diving the tier 1s here. Unfortunately, doesn't seem to be able to take off the Itachi in that regards.
Yep, Galo Kacha pretty hard to take down early on. The bouncing ball was perfect, but doesn't really matter too much early on. Ewan tanked as much as he could, but the tower was just a bit too much for him. Evo Esports still in a pretty good spot, but they're going to lose that tower before the 1.5 minute mark.
Oh, good call there from X3. No, unfortunately for him, he actually managed to steal the buff here. If Ash from the side of Evo Esports actually takes that buff here, this is going to be equalized goal from the side of Todak. But now, here one's down here. Now here comes the first engagement. Kufra with the bouncing ball. And now the Revitalize has been used from side E1. They will take him down. First blood will head in towards the favor of Evo Esports. They stack 4 guys there. And X3 will trade off on the top side.
And it's
Ash actually trading off. My bad.
2 kills for Evo Esports early on. The idea, E1, he went for the engage, did not expect back out immediately. If you look at this replay brought to you by U Mobile, you can see that Evo Esports, they were ready for that engage. Coming in from Todak, and E1, like I said, didn't anticipate Evo Esports with the numbers advantage. Took a bit too much damage and kind of get that first goal away. So Evo Esports with a great start. This also means that this carry has space to recover because he lost that tier 1 before the 1.5 minute mark, but it's totally fine.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? I talked about how they have to worry about the X-Buff here from Evo Esports, right? Todak, they have to figure things out here. They're trying things a little bit risky, but A1, he's only level 3. He doesn't have the Tyrant's Rage. But like you said, the first turtle buff here, Insanity getting baited out here as well. E1 will fall immediately here, and now where's the counter engagement here? Evo Esports taking 3 kills, but now here comes the stun coming from Ninas, but they can't seem to finish him off. The Revitalize has been used, and seems to me the turtle buff will be secure from side of Evo Esports.
And Todak is kind of falling back to how they play in the domestic scene, trying to go for the split push, not able to get that turtle away, and it means Itachi is going to find it engaged onto Ninas. Ninas won't be able to make it out this time. The maximum charge, just not enough damage. 4 kills for Evo Esports. It's going to be 5 because Itachi found Moon, managing to flicker away. This Kimi will survive for now. X-Ray is here with E1 as well. Does Evo Esports want to continue this? And it seems like E1 will pull the trigger onto Itachi. Ash will get out as well. So Todak, they find nothing in return.
Oh, nicely done there coming from Evo Esports, forcing the Last Insanity on Asher to actually disengage that fight. A1, you know, unfortunately say we did not see enough of follow-up here because right now they need Moon to come up online with from the side of Toda, and they're actually scaling pretty 50-50 despite all these kills and economy being favored towards Evo Esports. And it seems to me the game plan here from Satoda is buy time for this Hellcat to come online. And in this case, Chuku is already level 7 here, and Toda, they're playing their cards right. Evo Esports, they completely ignored Hellcat for the first 3.5 minutes right now.
Itachi now trying to frontline Chiku, but Chiku's going to turn back. Kaze joins the fight. Chiku will be forced to retreat, but meanwhile in the top lane, Ash with the last insanity is going to get on top of Moon. This Kimi will start to burn down. Meanwhile, the Harry also find Nernas. That's another 2 kills for Evo Esports, and it seems like they're outmaneuvering Toda.
Very nicely done here, and Evo Esports, they finally got a good read here. They know that Hellcat is nowhere in the vicinity, especially from Chiku. But Chiku, he stole the gold crab here. Will he go for Petrified? Look at that burst here. Will he even survive? Unfortunately, he will go down with the gold buff, and Toda, my oh my.
Toda is seemingly falling apart. Itachi not able to find that knockout with the ultimate, but Hellcat going down to Kaze. The true damage was just way too much for this Hellcat to deal with early on. 7-1, 4.5 minutes in. Evo Esports, the only saving grace for Toda right now is that the goal disadvantage is a 2B. But now X-Ray, they found him. Masha trying to run away, but the Hellbite is melting to both Mocker and Luca. X-Ray tries to turn around, but he's not going to make it out. Mega kill for Mocker.
Good game sense there coming from Evo Esports to actually find their way into that kill. Let's take a look at the replay here. X-Ray immediately could not do much. He knew he was pretty much stuck. He tried to come into Lucia, but the time journey was there to provide the additional shield as also movement speed to kite him around. So Evo Esports making full use of their drops here. They understood their timings from Saratoga. They do not want Chiku to come up online.
Yeah, and the problem with this is if you are Toda, if you kind of get those towers in the record time, under 1.5 minutes, you need to transition that to the other lanes. Toda, they were not able to do so because Evo Esports, they willingly give that objective away to create more space for carry, because now that lane is safe for this carry to maneuver. They go around the map, they pick off Toda one by one, and because of that, that first turret actually doesn't matter to Evo Esports at all.
Well, in this case here, Toda, they're going to be playing the split push strategy here, and once they take the middle tower in tier 1, this is where things are going to open things up from side of Toda. However, Evo Esports, they have a good read, they want to apply the pressure, they have the economy lead. You can see they're protecting the middle stage lane here, and X-Ray, once again, he's going to try to go for a split push, and this time they force rotations coming from Evo Esports.
And you have Aeon, E1 as well, trying to protect X-Ray, but X-Ray is going to get ganged up on. He's just going to buy time this time, running towards the middle lane into that jungle. He won't make it out, but Evo Esports, they're going to go for the counter engage. E1's going to miss that ultimate completely and be punished by Katsu. He'll be taken now, Todak now, trying to retreat, and they will be forced to back off.
Overcommitment there coming from A1, but good play there from X-Ray. Try to buy a little bit of time, and yes, they bought in a bit of time here. Look at this, the creep waves from the top side as well is pretty much pushed in, and Evo Esports, they are forced to separate here. This will reduce the pressure that they need. Toda will buy a little bit of small time, but I'm not too sure it's going to be enough here because they've lost E1 in the process. But however, Nernas, oh no, will get scouted out from side of Mocker, and he will take that kill with the Xamarin Force. Revitalize being popped out as well. Evo Esports will take the tier 1 instead.
And making it look so easy as well. You don't see Gato Kacha often. He's not the main priority tank, but you have to always keep in mind that Gato Kacha's ultimate has a long reach. She can always turn around and start to fight. That was what happened to Kufra, and suddenly Kufra seemingly has a way to be taken down. Evo Esports, they're demonstrating that again. Toda now trying to go for split, but Chiku misses his skills completely, and that means Ash will get out alive. X-Ray though, still gonna get that tier 2 pot, and yes, he will. Trying to run away once more. Gato Kacha with the ultimate will force the flicker out. X-Ray buying time for the rest of his team, but Evo Esports will try to go for a collapse once more. This time Toda, they are ready for it.
Uh-oh, Evo X, they're in some trouble. Tier 1s are pretty much exposed here from the side of Todak, and you know that this is happening here from side of Todak. They bought enough space here, and talking about this tier 1, it opened the entire map for this split push for strategy to even work here. Evo Esports here, they had the aggression, they had economy, but this time Todak finally equalizes here. What a play here coming from X-Ray. Evo Esports, how will they play this?
Itachi did not have the ultimate, so Evo Esports, they have to concede that turtle. There's no way you can try to engage without that Gato Kacha ultimate knockup into taunt. So Todak, they still get the objectives, and we pointed this out, both you and I. This was what's been keeping Todak in terms of goalie. They are not too far behind because they got the turtles, they got the farm, they got the mini wave and the towers. But Evil Esports, because of all the lead they've garnered through kills, they are able to roam freely across the map, and Todak just trying to split them apart.
Good steal here coming from Mocker. That buff is what Todak thinks needs in the next fight here. But because of that buff being stolen here, I don't think Todak is going to be committing here a lot. Once again, X-Ray is going to buy a little bit more time here for Chiku. Go for the split push here. This double assassin strat here is working out. Chiku once again is going to be focusing their mark here. Last Insanity being popped out, and so is the Darkness to buy time here. Unfortunately to say, they lose X-Ray from the side of Todak, and now Evil Esports, they want to wrap things up now.
And you can only do so much with the same strategy. The split push not going to work out because you're giving resources away. Mocker is going to go right in. Kufa found it, and he'll be shut down by Chiku. Evil Esports, though, with the time journey coming out a bit late, doesn't matter. They still want to go for the engage. The taunt onto E1. E1, he desperately needs to get away and front for his team. Great push from Nanas to disengage from that. Cousin will be forced to retreat. Mundo going to take those time bombs, and Todak managing to secure that kill and back off.
Wow, what a play there coming from Todak and Evil Esports. They've lost a couple members here. They traded Mocker in the process. Unfortunately for Todak, their economy is now slightly leading in favor of Todak. And this split push here is what is stopping this entire aggression coming from Evil Esports. They have to focus on pushing out the lanes, and you can see the itemizations here slow. But surely this Masha is going to come up online. Corrosive Scythe and the Demon Hunter Sword is up available. So X-Ray's next item is going to be potentially the Wind Talker. We see Durance is already up on Nanas, and this is where slowly but surely Todak will come online. But Evil Esports, will they get this good read though?
Evil Esports seemingly ready. Itachi has been that magical front line for Evil Esports. He's been getting the engages, but with the Lord, now finally spawning. The split push from Todak will be a key to kind of pick Evil Esports apart and secure themselves that objective. They've been doing it for the past two turtles. Chiku now forced to run away, and Mocker is there. Gato Kacha as well. Connect Chiku, managing to get away at Todak now. They have control over the Lord Pit.
Why? Oh my, Todak once again buying more time, forcing so many big ultimates here from the side of Evil Esports, and this is going to buy a little bit more time here for X-Ray to do his thing. However, economy-wise, once again, is still 50-50. The Lord is going to be up for contestants here. Evil. Esports.
He found Nunas, and that is your valid taken out straight away. E1 will be isolated, but he should be able to get out. Todak, they're still trying to push those minion waves out. It's going to be X-Ray doing that with the Masha. But Evil Esports, they're going to start the load out. We've seen Todak go for a loss here against Sunsprout in Game 2 in the Series 1. Can they do this again? And they need to make this happen, but the law is falling way too quick. Todak, they're trying to go for it, but that's not going to secure the law. This time it's going to go over to the Harem. Mocker is going to go for the re-engage onto E1, but he'll bouncing ball to get away. Moon trying to do as much damage as she can. Tyrant's wrap, that's come in to get Mocker into the wall, but it doesn't really matter. Everyone gets out. The Law has now spawned. Todak goes for a retreat. They actually pick up the Diggy. Now Mocker needs to start backing up. But Gato catch him with the re-engage onto E1. E1 has to start